Whenever y'all are ready to start.
Caleb, just do a quick little hello, blah, 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 and try not to be like movie fights.
Okay. Hey, everybody. We are back on Confidential Cinema, and I am not Henry Confidential. I am Caleb Coho, the most hated person from the group, and they put me in charge of the most important debate event of the year for this channel, which is the championship fight. We got Cody Newberry, Henry Confidential, and Nazario Montenegro fighting it out for the debated championship. And also here, my off-screen judges to help me, Michael Campbell and Lucas Schilbach, here to help me call this one. You guys ready?
Fucking A, man.
All right. Alrighty. So without any further ado, we'll jump right into the first question. We want to keep this speedy and fun. Your first question to debate tonight is, what film character should run for presidency? That is the first question on the table tonight, and we are going to start with the one and only Nazario Montenegro. 30 seconds when you start talking.
I will put up King Schultz from Django Unchained. When you want somebody to be your leader, you want somebody who projects honesty and transparency and loyalty. And to me, that's all encapsulated in the bounty hunter, King Schultz.
Okay.
Is that it? You
Yeah.
patented Cody Newberry late night move, stopping early. All right, let's start with Henry. You have 30 seconds.
Cody's second.
Oh, Cody.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Cody, 30 seconds when you start talking for your opening.
Ladies and gentlemen of the United States, what you need in a candidacy is a person that is progressive, moving forward, and not afraid to set up a good defensive, and be great with immigration. And that's the biggest thing facing this country right now. And I'm picking Charles Xavier. We already had one great president in a wheelchair. We can have another.
All right. And Henry, 30 seconds when you start talking for your opening.
So when you get a president, you want somebody who's actually experienced in politics. So I'm going with Jefferson Smith from Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. He's somebody who's a senator. He's already been experienced as, in the courtroom. He knows politics. He knows the judicial system. He knows exactly what he needs to get into. He has the experience, and he's a great guy. He's going to lead the country with force, and he's an American.
All right.
There's the shot.
All right. Open forum, gentlemen. You have the floor.
Okay, so we have a huge problem here. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Guess what? I don't want somebody that segregation has not even been established in the country and doesn't deal with whites and blacks. So I don't want somebody with old values. That's the biggest problem facing society, that no one wants old politicians that are stuck in their way, that do not want to progress or move forward. And I definitely don't want a bounty hunter that goes around and just blows up everybody that they meet. You can't trust him, and whoever is vice president is literally going to be elected because he's going to die, and that is proven in his movie.
So what I'm going to say is the things with Jefferson Smith, he's proved to progress. When he started off as a senator in the movie, he showed that he was kind of bumbling, and they actually hired him kind of ironically because they expected to take advantage of him, and there was kind of a stepping stone, and he actually progressed, and he stood up to the people in Washington, so he's actually going to go there. And once again, I just want to start off with King Schultz. He's not American, so not only is he a murderous person, he's not American, and that should automatically disqualify him, but as far as, I'll get into that, but I just want to throw that out there. And the things with Professor X, why would you want a president to lead your country when his own mansion gets blown up multiple times? So you're already at a point where he's going to be a point of assassination. He can't take care of his own people. He's getting them murdered. He's getting them abducted, and he's getting them studied all the time. So I don't trust him at all.
First thing, actually, you never said that he had to be American. You said, who's the best person you want to lead? This is a man that has been honest and fair, unbalanced, unwavering. He even takes on Django while they're in the middle of Slaver Town, and he's a black person. So he proves that he's open to all good people. Also, he makes a decision in the end that to uphold his integrity, if it's only for giving somebody who doesn't deserve it a handshake, he's willing to put his own life on the line. He makes decisions and he sticks with them. Jefferson Smith The guy got pushed a little bit in the middle of the movie, and he already wavered and ran away. He had to be convinced to come back to defend himself. And Professor X it's an okay guy, but he doesn't really make the best decisions. And you can see that with the decision that he has made all the time about the Dark Phoenix, where he represses her power, he tries to control her against everybody else's advice. He doesn't take advice from people.
The problem is Henry wants to battle semantics all of a sudden after we agreed that this does not have to be semantic or be American in the chat. So your points are invalid on that point alone. My problem is Mr. Smith, again, he has not built into generations that have come before him. So he is way behind the times, and he will not be able to join in and be able to join a political party and be able to help this country grow in a thing. And Nazario hit it right. He literally had to run away, and they had to bring him back. The problem with King Schultz is literally your problem with Professor X, that he's worried about getting things blown up. But I'm sorry, Nazario has one of the worst person. And we could literally have mutants throughout our military that could be such a help defense. And every time that Eric and Magneto get on edge, they literally get them back together. That's the main point of the whole story. So with a united front of letting immigrations in, letting race not matter. That's what I want in a president. I don't want somebody that's going to not progress, and I don't want somebody that's going to blow up everybody.
So I do want to bring up on that point. So you talked about Magneto, and he brings him close to the vest. But at the end of the day, he's going to trust, like, for example, whoever we're at war with at the time. He's going to trust them too much, and then they're going to get on our secrets, so they're going to take advantage. So he's going to be easily taken advantage of as a president because he's too trusting. He's not smart. He doesn't have the political aspect. And then everything with King Schultz.
He's not smart. That's completely wrong.
He's not. He's not smart in the aspect in that field. I'm not saying he's not a smart person, but I'm saying he's not smart in that field. And he doesn't have that experience. And then the things with King Schultz, he's just too off the cuff. He's too wild. And the whole thing where he shot him because of that. Think if you're at war and you're at a peace treaty. He's unwilling to do a peace treaty because of something you said. So say, for example, if we're at war, they're always going to have headbutting beliefs. So if that person who he's up against says something he doesn't like, he's going to shoot them. He's going to ruin the whole treaty, and he potentially is going to ruin the whole country. And then the things with Jefferson Smith. So they brought him back. That's called progression. Like I said, he grew into that, and he grew the entire time because they thought he was a bumbling idiot the entire time. He didn't have the confidence. That was him as an early days as a senator, and then he's grown up. So once
illegal bounty hunter. He never killed people willy-nilly. He killed the people that he was legally protected to do. If he had other choices, he would have taken them. But as long as they say you have to bring the body, you don't have to bring anything else, and it's legal for you to kill him, then he chose the easier way. And if you have respect when you're doing a peace treaty, he's not going to shoot you in the face. He really even tried to negotiate with Candy. It was all his unwavering bullshit that then finally drove him over the edge.
So let me just finish real quick since he just interrupted me. So it's real quick. So the whole thing with the whole treaty thing. So yeah, but if he says anything that he disagree with, that's going to blow it up. And you said he only kills the bad people, but they had an agreement on a set payment amount. They had that agreement. They had it in writing. They had a contract and everything. And then he blew it out the window. So he's not trustable. He's not somebody you want to lead. And I only brought up the German thing just to throw it out there. I wasn't going to harp on that. I just brought it up there. So Cody.
My biggest problem with this is Nazario. Yeah, you're saying he only kills the bad guy, but if he's sitting in the room with Vladimir Putin, he's shooting the dude and nukes are flying. I'm terrified of everything. And you're saying Charles Xavier is not smart. He can literally read the minds of the people that are in the room with him, so he can literally see exactly what they're going to say and what they're going to do. So he can literally bend to their thing or change their mind exactly how he wants them to do. Literally, he has the ability to wipe out every bad force in this world if he wanted to. But that's the thing. He wants to see the good in everybody, and that's what you want in a president. The problem with Jefferson Smith, he can't handle the big deals. He's literally a senator. He wasn't even that long, and now if you put him into real life politics, he's going to struggle, and he's not going to. Everybody's going to take advantage of him because that's the whole norm. He doesn't have the experience to deal with world politics or anything. He hasn't moved up in the politics world.
But like I said, he progressed, and throughout the entire movie, he's going to get into the confidence of the presidency. He's going to practice with that. He's going to get into, because he was a starting senator, and now he's going to the president. You said the thing with Charles Xavier, he's going to read their mind. That's starting to sound more like a dictatorship, because if he starts getting that power, and he's going to start controlling them. And
he's had the power, he never uses it.
Okay, but he's never been in a presidency thing. Now he's turned people's minds to where it actually helps, and honestly, ironically, hurts the people within his school. And like I said, he's got his school blown up multiple times, and he's putting them in terrible situations, like what Nazario said with the Dark Phoenix. He can't handle the situations. He gets too close to Magneto, and it just puts himself in a bad position. He's going to potentially ruin the country. And King Schultz, he's too wild, and he's not going to be able to handle it. Jefferson, he's politically smart. He progresses. He shows that he can handle it by the time the end of the movie hits, and he shows that he has that power. Nazario?
There's not a single moment in that movie where he is a wild man shooting everybody. Everything he does is calculated. He makes the best decision for every single time. Does it cost some lives? Yes. Are they mostly legal lives? Yes. What he eventually ends up doing is making a stand for the things he believes in and for the people he believes in. And that's what I want in a president. I want somebody who will be loyal to the right people and the right friends.
And you want a perfect person? Charles Xavier already has a person on the inside, and that's Beast. He's already been a senator for the country, so he could literally bring him in as a vice president that actually equals them to join the United Front to bring people in that people can be trusting and be worthy. That's what you want in a president. I don't want a guy that's going to have to learn as he goes. You're saying he's going to learn politics as he goes. I want a guy that's actually had to see and fight for his own rights and his own causes. And King Schultz, I do not trust at all. I think he would be great if I needed to take people out. He might be my Secretary of Defense, but he is not my president. Your guy, Henry, is literally probably Secretary of State. He is not president of the United States.
Okay, so what you just said with Beast and how he's got him in there. So what you said he's evolving, but at the end of the day, they're still growing and they're still fucking learning how to do the politics and everything, and they're still more worried about the mutants.
Help him. He's already there.
I know, but you still have mutants first and its potential of all that. There's too much risk there. Where Jefferson Smith, like I said, he's grown. You said he doesn't know politics. He knows. I didn't say he's learning politics. I said he keeps learning as he's going. He's going to learn strategy, political defenses. He's going to learn how to lead. He's going to keep learning how to lead because by the end of the movie, he had a fucking chance and everything. He was happy and it ended on a happy note because he was at a disadvantage. Like I said, they thought he was a bumbling idiot by the beginning of the movie, and then he turned into a hero. It shows progression. That's just him as a senator. He wasn't. That's not even ready for running for president yet.
By accident, man. He literally succeeds because he passes out and the guy felt guilty and almost shot himself in the face. That's not what I want from my leader. He basically is putting his life on the line to guilt people into doing the right thing. That's just not a functioning system.
George W. Bush literally had Dick Cheney to help him and lead him through the stuff. And that's what Beast could be for Charles Xavier. You're saying he just cares about mutants, but that's absolutely the opposite of what Charles Xavier is all about. He cares about the United Front. He doesn't care about one. He thinks that we can work well together, and that's the main problem. And that's what he will bring to this country. Your guy says, yes.
One more minute.
I'm not saying that he doesn't know politics. That's not what I'm saying. But the main thing is I don't want him to learn as he goes. And he doesn't have enough politics. Like he's not been around enough. So he doesn't know, and I don't think he can be the commander-in-chief. I can't trust him with the nuke codes because by that time, when he's in, he doesn't know how to progress in the right direction because he hasn't had to deal with the life lessons of today.
Okay, I don't think that Xavier is going to be a good leader either because in the end, he does not take advice from anyone. He feels because he has this experience and he can read everybody's mind and get most of people's opinion. He just thinks he's going to pick the right choice every time. And he has shown movie and movie again that he doesn't always make the right choice. It's difficult to accept, but some of the time, Magneto also has good points that he can raise. And instead of trying to find a middle ground where they all can be a balance and have a treaty and live together, it's going to be my way or the highway. And it just doesn't work.
Exactly. And the last thing I want to say about that, the same thing you said, the new codes. You can't trust you can't trust Jefferson Smith with the new codes. I wouldn't be able to trust Professor Xavier with the new codes as well because, like I said, he's going to be too close to Eric Magneto. Magneto's going to seduce him into either give him the codes or it's going to become destruction. It's going to implode in-house before he even helps any of the country. He's too worried about the mutants and his own personal friends.
Stop the Cuban Missile Crisis.
All right, time. We're going to go ahead. We're going to go back to Nazario for your final thoughts.
No, he closes.
Nazario closes. He's last.
Oh, he's last. Okay.
So
Henry, your final thoughts.
Okay.
My bad.
You're right. All right. So everything with Jefferson Smith, he progresses as a president, or as a senator, and that's what you want as a president. He's going to keep building, gets his political career going. He's going to grow as a leader, and he's going to lead the country with the best interest in everybody. Professor X, he's going to potentially have everything implode within him before he even helps any benefit for the country. He's going to potentially get the White House assassinated or blown up or any of that stuff. And King Schultz, he's just too wild and crazy and rambunctious, and he's going to put everyone at risk before he even does the benefit for the country. At least Jefferson Smith's going to have the country at first, where Magneto's going to, or Professor X is going to have mutants, and then him.
All right, Cody, your closing statements.
This is fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, I want a president that stands for the people. I want him that's not something wrong with everybody else. I want him to fight for the common man, and that's what Charles Xavier would do. I think he's already had to stop Cuban Missile Crisis. He's already had those problems. He's even had to help his own team see the good in everybody else. And the problem with Henry's choice is I don't want a politician that hasn't had enough experience in White House to try to come up, that hasn't progressed, that doesn't know half the stuff that's changed in this many years.
Time.
He's been out of the game for way too long.
All right, and Nazario, your closer.
Charles Xavier does not accept ideas that are not from his own. And having that power is not only maybe an advantage, it can be a very bad liability, as it was proven in Apocalypse when they took over his power and they just threw all the nukes into space. So that is a risk that he can take. Jefferson Smith is a weak guy. He's a weak guy with weak character. He basically won by passing out and making the other judges, the other senators feel guilty. That's the only way he worked what he wanted. Schultz, it's loyal to a fault. He did the right thing even at the cost of his own life.
Alrighty. That was close. I'm going to go ahead and start with Michael. What are your thoughts on this one? Where are you swaying?
So am I just going to give my actual vote here?
Yep.
You have a minute, so if you have no more than a minute, but try and wrap it up and give us reasons why.
Yeah. So there's an argument that Cody made a lot that didn't really hold me, and that was Mr. Smith sort of being of that time, because that's basically every character is of their time. Like Schultz is from the 1800s. Professor X is 100 now. It doesn't really hold, because you assume that they're going to update to modern times.
I didn't cover that, just to let you know.
And I think Nazario won this.
If it's not off arguments, I'm going to say something.
Nazario won this point for me because he kept hammering home why Schultz is going to be a good president. He's loyal, he's honest, he's transparent, he does everything within reason and by the books. And I think ultimately that could be something that people will get behind. And he had good takedowns of Professor X about not being open, and he had good takedowns of Smith about him being weak and not basically winning by default. So that's my reason for Nazario getting the point.
All right, Lucas, where are you leaning and why?
Okay, so I disagree pretty heavily with Michael on this one. I have to admit, I think Henry lost me multiple times. To me, it became his entire argument was he progresses, and I really didn't get much more than that. And then everybody else kind of hit him pretty hard on the fact that he really is kind of a rube and doesn't really know what he's doing. And I wish somebody had literally pointed out that he was nominated because they thought he'd be a puppet. It was a point that I wish had been made. But he was out pretty quickly for me. Then it came down to Nazario and Cody, and I have to admit I go with Cody on this one. He made this argument about how Professor X has really good allies, people he could add to his cabinet. He talked about how he has experience dealing with big world situations, Cuban Missile Crisis. This guy has been at the big moments of all these political events in history, and the arguments against him are he trusts his enemies. I've never viewed the Magneto relationship as trust. I think he has a hope that Magneto will do the right thing, but I've never viewed that as a trust Magneto. And then the bad decisions, but if you really look at all these characters, all of them kind of made bad decisions. I think King Schultz is actually a really interesting argument, and I really like Nazario's opening. He's a really interesting character idea because he's a very smart guy, but at the end it really just came down to he's too violent and not trustworthy. I thought were good hits on him. I also think it's funny that no one pointed out that Xavier also couldn't be president because he's British.
Doesn't matter.
No, I know, but I know, but if it came up at the beginning with King Schultz being German, I just thought it was hilarious that no one had mentioned that Xavier also couldn't be president because he's British. But I go with Cody because I think he made the best argument for why he could build the cabinet and run the country.
All right, so that means it comes down to me, and I agree that Henry kind of got taken out kind of quickly when they started bringing on that he kind of is, that all Henry's argument was that he progressed, and I think Nazario and Cody ganged up on him pretty good. It really came down to the arguments between Cody and Nazario, and it was really close. I really like Cody's points about how he was for Cuban Missile Crisis and he has good people around him. But I think Nazario had a good takedown of that his mental powers can be manipulated like an apocalypse. And so for that takedown, as well as his defense of why Schultz is not necessarily a wild card, I'm going to give the point to Nazario, which means Nazario gets the first point.
Wow.
And we go on to round number 2. All right, so our second question of the night is actually question number 4, which means Nazario, you're going to be able to open and close this one because you're in the lead. This is Pitch Quentin Tarantino's final film. So we are going to have you pick two numbers between 1 and 5. You have to pick 2 numbers between 1 and 5. You'll get a genre and an actor to make your pitch off of. So
Jake wrote this? Because
Yep.
that's total BS. I will throw that right now. That is literally Henry. That's Henry's director. To a
All
T.
right.
I did not.
Nazario?
I had no involvement. I swear to God.
Nazario, you are in the lead, so you get to pick your 2 numbers. First, 2 numbers between 1 and 5.
2 numbers.
2
between
numbers
1
between
and
1 and 5. Yep.
2 and 4.
2 and 4?
Yeah.
Okay. 2 and 4. All right. We'll go over to Cody. Pick 2 numbers between 1 and 5.
And they can
You
be the
can-
same numbers, right?
They could be the same numbers.
Yeah.
2 from 2 and 4 are off the table.
Yeah.
You can pick 4 and 2 though.
So I'm going to take 3 and 1.
3 and 1.
Because he's saying there's two lists of 1 through 5.
Yeah, there's 2 lists between 1 and 5. So
Okay.
yeah. Henry, go ahead and pick your.
What did you say, Cody?
You took 3 and 1.
So 2 and 3 are gone from list A.
Yep. 2 and 3 are gone from list A, and 1 and 4 are gone from list B.
I'll say 5 and 2 is there for list 2, right?
List 2 still has 2. Yes.
All right, 5 and 2.
All right, 5 and 2. All right, so Nazario, your pitch. Quentin Tarantino's final film is going to be an action film starring Margot Robbie. You have to pitch that movie. Tarantino directed action movie with Margot Robbie. Cody, you have picked a crime film starring Bruce Willis. And Henry, you have picked a blaxploitation film starring Gary Oldman. So that is what you have to work with. Nazario, you get to open first 30 seconds whenever you are ready.
Okay. Action film Margot Robbie, right?
Yep.
So, to come full circle with his filmography, when he decides he's going to end it, he's going to do the thing most people have been asking for, but he hasn't been able to. He just hasn't decided to do yet, which is to make a final chapter for the Kill Bill saga. It's going to take place 30 years later than the original movie, and Margot Robbie is going to play the bride's kid, and Tessa Thompson is going to play Bernita Green's daughter. And they're going to basically carry on the family tradition where the kid's going to come looking for the bride, and she's going to find that her kid is willing to defend her mother. And it's going to be...
All right, now Cody, you your turn to make your pitch.
All right. Quentin Tarantino's last film is going to be called One Last Ride, and it's going to star Bruce Willis. It's a group of guys that run a heroin ring, and Bruce Willis has been the head of that for a long time, and somebody is infiltrating his crew. And Bruce Willis has got to hunt and find who that guy is. And through great dialogue, what Quentin Tarantino does, it's going to be the person that's going to... Okay, well, I'll explain later.
All right. And Henry, your turn to make your pitch. 30 seconds when you start talking.
So arguably one of the most famous and curious characters ever created by Quentin Tarantino is Drexel from True Romance. And the thing is that makes it most curious from Gary, and it's Gary Oldman, is the fact that he kind of has that, black-like personality. He has the dreads, he has the accent and all that stuff. So what I'm doing is I'm going to do a prequel to that character, and you get involved in the early 70s of what's going on with his character, 70s or 80s, of why he goes on with the character and why he became who he became. And I'm going to have a nice co-star that's really going to be the leader of the gang and who kind of taught him to be his
Time.
way.
All right. And to clarify real quickly for Michael, Nazario, your movie is Kill Bill Volume 3. This is what you're pitching. Okay. Got it. All right. Open forum whenever you start, gentlemen.
Okay, so what I'm going to do with this prequel is Drexel, like I said, he. When you meet him in True Romance, you realize that he's at the top of the game. He's the head honcho. Now, I'm curious why he got that way. Why, in his mind, does he believe that he belongs in that culture, and also what got him to that personality? So my co-lead that I'm going to go with this, I'm going to go Michael B. Jordan, because he's a strong character. He really knows what he's doing, and he's proven that he can be quick, snappy with his dialogue, as he's shown in Creed and he's shown in Black Panther, and he's showed that he can kind of be quick with his retorts, and that would be perfect for Quentin Tarantino. So I'm going to have them lead up, and I'm going to have Michael B. Jordan be the leader of the gang, and have a young, Drexel as his understudy. Cody?
How weak is everybody's, like, you want to pitch Kill Bill and you want to preach a prequel, and everybody loves Tarantino's original work. What I want to see is like a bunch of old characters, a bunch of old actors that Tarantino has rode with, so they can finally go out together on this great dialogue story about a heroin ring that they have to infiltrate and cut down, and why a young guy comes into it, which I think Leo would be a perfect guy to try to infiltrate that ring that you don't understand. And Willis has to question the guys that he's been the closest with this entire time to see if they're the ones cutting him down. I don't want to see Kill Bill Volume 3. I think that ended well. I don't want to see Margot Robbie revisit that, because it wouldn't make sense. And I don't want to see a prequel for somebody from True Romance. I want to see Tarantino create a unique film, put his own spin on it, and have great dialogue, which he's great at, and revisit to his first film, Nazario.
I'm not sure why Henry picked Drexel. He's one guy that appears for like 1 minute in True Romance, a movie that Tarantino wrote but he didn't direct, and I don't think there's interest enough for a full-length prequel about him. And Cody, I know Tarantino's a great director, but I don't think even him can get Bruce Willis to care in 2018. He's probably gonna give him the worst performance of his career, act like he doesn't give a shit half the time, and doesn't matter how good the script is, if the actor doesn't commit, it's not going to be good. This is going to be closure for the whole thing. He likes connecting all his movies. He spills names of characters in every film. You can kind of connect things that doesn't seem to go with each other. Even Django has a connection with Kill Bill if you look for it. But now this will be like a closure of a story, which will turn on the full time.
You put it down.
Well, it's because I was being respectful. All right, so the only reason I mentioned the concept prequel is just because it's going to be a younger version of Drexel's character. But like Nazario just helped me out, he's barely in that movie, but he's one of the most well-known characters ever written by Tarantino, which was created by Tarantino. He's also one of the most memorable parts of that movie. So I'm bringing him back, and I'm rising up to it. It's going to be an original story, because you're going into the crime lord. You're going to the black exploitation of the world, and how they're bringing in a Caucasian male and turning him into what he becomes as Drexel, with the long dreads, with the accent, and how he becomes crazy as a drug kingpin, as a gang leader, as whatever he becomes. And you're really going to lead into that. It's going to be a nice action, and you're going to have Michael B. Jordan. They're going to be going back and forth. You're going to show Michael B. Jordan just kind of what he's got with the dreads, like he did in Black Panther. Killmonger. He shows that he has that grit and that gravitas, and he really can lead, and that's what really going to be. So the dynamic between the two is going to be fantastic. It's going to be quippy. It's going to be action packed, and it's going to be full on drugs. So me and you are both going with the drug angle.
Yeah, but the main problem that I'm facing is you guys are just wanting to revisit characters like that. And the problem is that Quentin Tarantino will only do a movie if people are fully committed with it. And the one guy that's going to get Bruce Willis, you can claim to all the stuff he's done before, but if Quentin Tarantino is going to do the last movie and cast Bruce Willis, it's going to be a great movie. He's not going to put out something he's not proud of. So you can stop hanging on that point alone. I'm thinking your character will not sell any tickets, because if you want to see Tarantino, it's going to draw people. Even if it's his last movie, they don't want to see a guy that is barely in True Romance to see where he came from. That's not interesting. And Kill Bill, Quentin Tarantino literally refers to Kill Bill as a one movie. Part 1 and Part 2 is one. So a third doesn't make any sense, because he said that he completed it. So why would you have to revisit 30 years later of a character that's already been there? That's my main problem with your two choices. You guys are not unoriginal. You just want to hang on to Quentin Tarantino's wonderful stuff in the past.
See, like I said, I'm only bringing in the one character. All right, fine.
Go ahead.
Putting Michael B. Jordan in that movie is going to make a really great, interesting character that we know is probably going to die by the end of the movie. So that kind of kills it, because if you put a character that overtakes the main character of your prequel, then it doesn't really work. And yeah, he may do his best effort. Bruce Willis may give a shit, but he's going to be very difficult task to do, and it will have to be an amazing story for something to finally work in that direction. With Kill Bill, it's going to be something that it's closure for a story that it's a little open-ended and it's gonna be action. But he's gonna use the same way he used the styles from the 70s and 80s to inspire Kill Bill. He can use the new techniques from cinema, from the Matrix on, and incorporate that and do what Tarantino does best, which is take the styles of different directors and different movie genres and mix them up into something new, something special. And I think Margot, with a hot star right now, can really shine in this role.
All right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with closings, and I'm going to let Henry go ahead and do his closings here.
All right, so I'm glad I'm going first because I don't want to make this point seem cheap because I just got to point to bring it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm setting mine in the 70s, right after the 60s, where the Black Panther movement was really powerful for the blaxploitation. Like I said, this is a blaxploitation movie, and ironically, Michael B. Jordan has that experience in Black Panther, so he has the passion behind it. So Tarantino is really going to build up these characters that are awesome. Kill Bill, like we've already said, that's part of a story that doesn't even really tie into the story, but it is still is added on, so it's not necessary. Mine, at least, is his original own with just one known character. And then everything with Cody's, which you said, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to knock you down. But everything that you're saying with your movie is there's not really a story there. You just have two guys doing the drug trade, and it's generic.
All right. Cody, 30 seconds for your closer.
The problem with the two of my opponents, they literally just want to revisit it. And the problem with putting a star-studded like of Michael B. Jordan, he doesn't show up in anything else, so you know he's not going to make it through. So that will lose people right away out of the entrance. Kill Bill was already a perfect film. The problem with mine is I don't have to have a beautiful story. That's the beautiful thing about Tarantino. Give me just a plot point and let him talk, and let the action speak for itself. Let the dialogue speak for itself. Let the thing. They literally just did it with Hateful Eight, where they had to just sit in a room and just talk about stuff, and that was one of the most compelling stories ever. That's what I want to see, and they're going to get the best out of Bruce Willis.
All right, Nazario, 30 seconds for your closing to wrap it all up.
I think Cody's actually trying to sell us on two people sitting on a room talking for 3 hours. And Tarantino is great, but I think you at least needed to tell us a little more about it. You needed to develop a little more the idea of what you're trying to sell me. And yeah, I already made the point about Michael B. Jordan going to be the best thing in every movie and don't show up in anything else. He's going to overtake Drexel. Nobody's going to even care that Drexel is in the movie, and it's going to make no sense. This is going to be an action-packed film filled with all new things, all new stuff. No.
All right, I'm going to start with Lucas for your thoughts on this one.
Okay. This was not close. Gonna be completely honest. I think this was a complete massacre. You had two people pitch sequels or prequels that the logic doesn't make any sense. Like, for example, you're pitching a prequel to True Romance where Oldman is now 25 years older. That doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Well,
also,
you have to have your just for clear, you have to have your imagination. That's just what we were given. So I mean.
No, I know, but you didn't pitch him as the older version of a younger character in a movie. You never mentioned that. And then you've got the genre of blaxploitation, which I don't think you mentioned at all. So for me, you were kind of instantly disqualified by the fact that I feel like you didn't even use the question. And then, I mean, there's not much to say for Nazario's. I don't, like, Cody, I'll just go to Cody, because Cody's getting the point for me.
Yeah, then just wrap it up. We get it.
He's allowed to give his piece.
He knocked Nazario and you guys for exactly the right things, which is we want Tarantino to do an original movie. We want him to do stuff. He made the great point at the end. It doesn't matter about what the plot is. All you want is Tarantino to write a movie. You give him the basic, pieces of it, and he'll do it. And Bruce Willis is kind of like weirdly the perfect choice for a Tarantino movie because it's exactly like what he does every movie where he takes some random old guy we haven't seen be good in 10 years and then throws him in a movie. For me, Cody just pitched a movie that was original, that was interesting, and it's something we'd see Tarantino do. I think it would have been interesting to see the other guys take their ideas and pitch original movies because at the end of the day, it just came out being kind of bland and generic.
All right.
The point.
All right, I'm going to go next and completely agree that Cody came out and just kind of threw some haymakers. So, yeah, Cody's going to get the point. I think Nazario was just trying to pitch a movie based on the title. Henry was kind of latched onto one character, trying to do a prequel, and again, he didn't really mention much of his genre, while Cody was able to knock them both. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the point, which means Cody gets on the board. Michael, would you have said anything different?
He's muted.
Either Michael, you're muted or you left.
There we go. Have you said anything different, Michael? I don't hear.
Nice to hear from him. It's good. Good
All
thing
right,
it was
well-
a second vote. One thing, Caleb, I will say, if you guys are going to call it early, still give us a warning. Like, we still
Okay.
things we would want to say.
All right.
Like, it's fine calling it early, but at least give us a warning. Like, hey, we're going to call it early. Just
Alrighty.
because that's why I mentioned that in my closing. I'm like, I feel like I had plenty more to say, but I felt bad because I'm limited to 30 seconds. So I wanted to bring up my Black Panther point, but I couldn't in depth. So that's why I said that. I was like, I'm not trying to be unfair.
All right. All right. So on to question number 3, which means we're going back to the top of the dock with question number 1, which Henry is going to be able to start and close on. What is the best heist film of all time? Right, Henry, whenever you're ready, 30 seconds to start.
Okay, so when you think of a heist film, you think of multiple aspects. You think of, obviously, the actual heist itself. You think of the characters within it, and you think of the people that they're stealing from or whatever they're stealing from. So I'm going with The Killing from Stanley Kubrick, which has a very elaborate heist that's still pretty simple, so it's not over-convoluted, but it also, you understand exactly what's going on, and it still has some stakes to it. You have characters that you understand why they're doing exactly what they're doing. You have a little bit of their backstory, and you understand the stakes, once again, for them. And then you have the track of what you're stealing from, because it's kind of within its own, drug reel and everything. It has you know exactly what you're stealing from.
All right. Over to Nazario for your 30-second opening whenever you are ready.
For a heist movie, I'm going with Inception. The idea of a heist usually is executing a plan and then stealing something from it. This is kind of a reverse heist idea because it has all the structure of a heist film, but in the end it's reversed because they're putting something in when they usually be taken out. But it's still imaginative and it's the same structure and it follows through brilliantly.
All right, stopping just a little bit early. Cody, 30 seconds for your opening.
Thank you, Henry, for explaining exactly what you want from a heist film, because mine does it a little bit better with more characters and more fun along with it, with a better runtime. You get more character development in Ocean's 11 of the 2011. You get this crew that has so many different elements that go through against the one guy that he wants to steal most from, and it takes a unique spin on it of a casino, robbing them blind, not seeing it coming, and getting out and having laughs and drama and intrigue the entire way.
Time. Stopping just a little bit early there, actually. So
go for it, Henry.
All right, so Henry, go ahead, and the floor is open.
So I want to start off with Ocean's 11. Ocean's 11, at no point in the entire movie do you ever feel any stakes. You know exactly that George Clooney and Brad Pitt, they're going to win. You don't give a shit about Andy Garcia the entire time. You don't know anything about his backstory. He's just a kind of face-twirling lead guy. But at the end of the day, he doesn't even do that very well. All you know is the relationship with him and Julia Roberts. You don't get nothing. There's no chemistry there, so you don't understand why he cares. At the end of the movie, George Clooney gets Julia Roberts from him, and you don't even feel for that, so you don't feel bad for Andy Garcia. He doesn't do anything for you to hate him. You get no backstory on any of the main characters other than that George Clooney was in jail. You don't care. You don't understand why they're doing it other than getting rich. You don't care about him. There's no stakes in the entire movie. It defeats the purpose. It's just a fun romp. It's not bad, but it's fun, so it's not the best heist movie because there's no stakes.
You know, the best thing is I can just say, not good, not great, don't care, don't live it. That doesn't mean anything. The basic thing is you don't get that from the movie because apparently you don't pay attention well. Literally, the man is in charge of the city, and literally they're going to undercut him the entire way it goes through. Your movie does not have enough time limit to build enough characters to make you care enough about the heist. That's the main problem with it. I think the heist is done really well, but the overall movie doesn't fill into that full gap. That's my main problem with yours. And the problem with Inception, for general audiences, it's like that meme. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Most of the people don't. They walked out. My grandmother, my mom was like, I don't even know what the hell we just watched. That's the problem with Inception, because you don't understand that it's a heist. You don't pay attention that it's a heist. You like the movie. It's great for what it does, but it doesn't do anything. Ocean's 11 literally has heart, character. You do care about those characters, and there is stakes. There's literally times where you don't think they're going to get away with it, and then they end up pulling it off.
The one thing I would say about The Killing is that the heist is not even really successful. In the end of the movie, they don't even end up with the money, and they end up arrested. So it's not even a successful heist. And Ocean's 11, yeah, it was a successful heist, but it was run-of-the-mill, boring. Henry has a point. It's the characters are likable, but there's no weight to anything. It just happens. and it's as predictable as these movies get. Inception is anything but predictable. It's the way you do something imaginative in the 2010s with an idea that is established decades ago. They change what I want. Instead of taking something, you are putting something in, and you're doing it instead of reality. It's just dreams. It's layers. The movie makes sense if you pay enough attention.
So what my thing, you just said that the heist doesn't actually, they execute the heist perfectly. They get the money, but at the end of the day, they get it taken away from them. They get caught. And that's exactly how it should be, because it doesn't glorify crime. They get away from the heist. They're away from the track. They're away from the track. They get the money, and then they get caught at the airport. They get caught at the airport way past the horse track. So they get caught afterwards. They get the money. The heist is executed perfectly. In Ocean's 11, when they finally execute the heist, it's from a guy that you don't even care about, and it's from a guy that you don't feel sorry for him, and you don't feel enough hatred towards him to be rooting for your guy. So it's right in the middle the entire time. It's fucking middle of the road, and you don't care about nobody in that movie. There's no emotional stakes. There's no stakes for the heist.
That's the main problem with you guys. So 2 people that find it boring, congratulations, but the overall heist is a success. And that's the main problem with yours, Henry, that I don't care. At the end of the day, when they don't get the money, that's it. Even Fast Five rolls a safe down the street, and they still get to keep the money. Your guys get caught, so that does not make a successful heist movie. And Nazarios is too confusing. The problem is you didn't attach to those characters, and that's fine. Maybe that's what kind of cinephiles you are, but the problem is a lot of people do connect to it, and Andy Garcia is literally the head of that town that everybody can't stand because he had old rules with the Iron Fist and doesn't let people in. And Danny Ocean literally says, you know what? You took my girl. I'm taking your money and the girl. And he ends up doing it. And he does meet impasses all the time throughout the entire movie. And that's what makes it compelling. And it's a lovable losers get together and able to pull this heist off that shouldn't work, but it ends up working perfectly. Nazario.
The best heist movies make a plan, explain the concept, explain the plan, and execute the plan. Ocean's 11 depends on trickery. There are twists that they need to
perfectly
escape from the audience and trick us, so we don't see how it really is going to work in the end. But it was planned all along, and that is not really a good idea. In Inception, if you pay attention, they explain the whole process and they execute it perfectly. Even the part with they go to limbo, that is explained that's a risk, and you have to have a plan B to come back, which Leonardo executes really. And if you point that people are not understanding and stuff, the movie wouldn't be as big of a hit if it was true. I think younger people or people willing to expand their ideas of what can be the structure of a heist really enjoy this film. That is why it's so well received. Most older people might not care enough to dedicate time to learn something new, and that may be your issue with grandparents and uncles and aunts and stuff.
All right, so
although my dad loved it.
All right, so my thing with Inception, you say that it explains it perfectly. Yeah, with a lot of exposition. You have things like talking about what the kick is. At the beginning of the movie, it executes the idea of the kick early on, but then guess what? Everything around it is so complicated. We're just going to exposite exactly what the kick is, again, even though the audience already knows, but they have to tell Ellen Page's character what the kick is, just to be expediting, because you have to let the audience know exactly what's going on. And you say with everything with Ocean 11, it's style over substance. All it is, you don't know any backstory of these people, and then everything that goes on with the heist is mainly luck. Little things of the fact that the people within the casino are stupid and are unwilling to double check. Like when you have, I don't know the character, but when he goes into the computers and he's hacking something, you have the guy, and he's like, hey, and it's like, oh wait, there's some stakes. Like, nope, you just forgot something. Or it's like, hey, we need to get the thing in here. Oh yeah, how are we gonna do it? Oh, I forgot my card. Okay, just don't do that next time. It's all luck, all because the casino people are stupid. That's lazy writing. That's lazy writing though for the movie. That's lazy writing. It's style over substance. You don't have anything going on with that movie. There's no stakes.
Okay, you went for 4 minutes. The problem with your whole heist movie is that you didn't even successfully complete your heist, and you said, "Oh, because crime shouldn't win." Blah blah blah. In a heist movie, you want them to succeed. That's the whole point of a heist.
You said they did. They pulled your mouth.
Shut your mouth. You want something that you can literally grasp onto that's something unrealistic, and they actually pull it off. Yes, do things go in their way? Yes, but apparently you guys didn't pay attention to the plan because they fully map out the plan and they prove it excellent, especially when it goes wrong. And Nazario, your whole thing is, I agree with you. The movie is complex and it's very good, but the problem is they have to over-explain the entire time because it's too much for people to grasp onto. I want a heist movie where the characters are fun, they have things, they end up getting the money at the end of the day, and they don't have to explain it over and over to me to beat me in the head to make me understand they heist, they steal stuff.
See, like, no, I saved the killing. You guys keep hammering home that he didn't execute the heist. They left the racetrack with the money. They execute the heist and then they caught afterwards. That's just like at the end of Goodfellas. He got arrested. They did everything. You're rooting for him the entire movie, then he gets arrested at the end. Or like in Wolf of Wall Street, you're rooting for the entire time, and then he gets arrested at the end. That's how it is. So that part is the best heist movie. They succeeded in the heist, and then they got in trouble afterward. There's aftermath. There's stakes. The fact that people got murdered in the movie and then got arrested at the end. There's stakes. In your movie, nothing happened to anybody. Oh, he hurt his hand. That's all. That's the only stakes in the entire movie. And Julia Roberts chose George Clooney over Andy Garcia. And then Inception, even when you had Saito shot the entire time, you don't actually think he's gonna die, and you know that Leo's gonna get back to his kids. There's no actual stakes there, and it over explains everything. It's either too complicated or too expositing. Nazario?
The main thing of a successful heist is to keep the money or plant the idea. You didn't keep the money, Henry. It's over for that side. And Inception, they complete the idea. And if you didn't care for Kato in the end, man, you weren't paying attention. That was a full risk on.
If my movie is cookie cutter and doesn't have any stakes to it, but the whole thing is you feel excited for those characters because they were able to pull it off. But your characters, like, yeah, they pulled it off, and oh shit, they still screwed it up and got away, and that's not compelling. The problem with The Killing is they don't even develop that many characters in it. That's your whole problem. You haven't even mentioned any of the characters or any big point of it. So the whole thing is you're saying my character doesn't, but you've mentioned way more characters of mine than you can even name, or you care about your own characters, and that's the main problem, that you're not attached to those killing characters. You don't have them, and then when they get caught, whoop-de-doo at the end of the day, because guess what? They didn't kick with the money. I think Inception is a great movie. I just think it's too convoluted, and they have to over-explain a lot, and most of the time don't realize it's a heist movie till the very end.
Okay, so you said that I didn't bring up any characters. That's fine. I'll bring them up now. You have Sterling Hayden.
Yeah, go ahead and look at IMDb.
No, I'm being honest. You have Sterling Hayden's character. He does. Oh yeah, whatever. You definitely wouldn't know any of my movies. So anyway, you have Sterling Hayden's character who brings it up. He has a smart plan. He's talking to everybody. You're gonna do your thing. I'm gonna talk. So he talks to everybody. He tells everybody within his group everything that they need to know. He doesn't overtell anybody anything. He's like, hey, here's what you need to know. Here's what you need to know. Here's what you need to know. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't know the character's name that I'm about to bring up, but the whole time you build up his wife and everything, and she's hating on him. She's like, hey, we don't have enough money. We don't have blah blah blah. So she convinced him to be in the heist, and she does everything. So that's the emotional stakes there. But guess what? She was two-timing him the entire time with somebody when they come in. They come in and then they fucking try and steal the heist money, so they try and damage the heist. So there's a lot of stakes there. Like I said, people get murdered. You have the iconic scene with the mask and the gun in the roses, which was ripped off in T2. So it's awesome. It's iconic. And then you have, like I said, the important thing. Sterling Hayden's character. He tells everybody things he needs to know.
Minute. That's my main problem. Is my characters have so many different levels that they have to do. There's a gymnast. There's a person that drills underneath it. There's they have to infiltrate. They have to play disguises, and that's what's great in the heist. You have to infiltrate, get the money, and get out. And that's what my characters do perfectly through the entire movie. Your characters are not that memorable.
Time. Okay, so Mr. Schildbach has requested that when we get to the closings that you explain why the heist is important to your film. And we are going to start with Mr. Newberry for your 30-second closing.
My heist is literally crucial to the entire film because that's where it centers. They have to win it. They have to undercut the main man of Las Vegas and undercut him and infiltrate his structure to leave him weaker and also steal his girl at the end. So that's the whole thing. Danny's not even supposed to be able to complete the mission, and they end up completing at the end of the day. So that's why my heist is an overall successful movie, because they were able to get in, get out, and no one they understand, but like, damn it, he got away. And that's what's great with Danny Ocean, and he didn't even have to pull off any of the heist to make it done. He picked the right team, and that's what we want to heist.
All right, Nazario, 30 seconds for your closing.
For the main character of the film, which is Leonardo DiCaprio, the heist is important because the exchanges are going to get a murder charge removed so he can go back to his family. They make a plan, and they execute it correctly, and everybody comes out a winner. It's the basic definition of a structure of a heist, just done in an imaginative, original way, changing the scenery of stealing a bank for just going into somebody's mind and hacking it. I think Henry's one is just not a successful heist, and I think Cody's one is just an ordinary one that also needs some surprise and twist to even work.
All right, Henry, 30 seconds for your closing.
All right, so real quick with Ocean's 11 and everything with that, you said that it's so important for you to get Andy Garcia, but nothing is built up why you even care. With Nazario, everything in Inception, it's too complicated and you just don't understand it, or it's too exposition. Everything with the killing, the reason why that's important is because you have the main character. He's smart. He leads this. They all want money. It's only $2 million. And yes, if you don't know the actor's character name, that's fine. It's an older movie, but hold that against me if you want. You have the one character, whereas his woman the whole time is like, hey, we need to do this. We need to do this, or I'm going to leave you. That's why you're important. She's hammering down. She's demanizing him. I don't know the word for it, and everything. Then you have the stakes, the cheating.
Time. All right, I'm going to start with Michael because your vote did not count last time. Who are you going with and why?
So this is tough because there was a lot of time spent on the success of the heist, and the question is the best heist film. It doesn't say the heist has to be successful or fail. I liked Henry's points, knockdowns of Ocean's 11 about really there is no stakes and like the built-up aggression against Garcia. It doesn't really, like in the film, you don't really get it. Why do I hate him? Why is he such a big bad guy? It's just because of Julia Roberts. And Cody didn't really respond to that and explain why I should hate Andy Garcia in the film. And I liked Henry's takedown of Inception. I was glad he mentioned the exposition. That is the one big flaw of Inception, because I didn't agree with Cody's takedown of Inception of it being confusing, because it's not confusing. It's just if you pay attention, it's there. It's just the problem is there's a lot of exposition about them. So Henry mentioned that, and Henry's thing about the killing having stakes, the backstory, and there's people being murdered. That sort of gives it a real a tension that the other films don't have. So that's why Henry gets my point.
All right, Lucas, where are you going and why?
So the term that Henry was looking for is emasculate. Emasculate is the term he was looking for. Just the correction. So for me, this really comes down to the points against the movies. I feel like they all made really good cases for their movie. It's where the points against the movie by the other competitors come down that really decides it for me. I think the movie that was knocked the best was Inception, because I think the argument that it requires too much exposition, and I think, yes, on some level it is kind of confusing. I think a lot of people have admitted that the first time they didn't get it and had to rewatch it multiple times, because I feel like a lot of the enjoyment of that movie is based on the fact that people were interested the first time and chose to watch it second and third times. So, and then it came down to two questions, which was Ocean's 11 versus The Killing. I'll be completely honest, I have not seen The Killing. I also haven't seen the other two movies in a while. And at the end of the day, I didn't really hear an actual knock on The Killing. I heard some knocks on Ocean's 11. I don't know if I agree with all of them. Some of them kind of seemed a little lazy, just saying it's boring. I feel like a lot of them are a little lazy. But I heard more knocks against it than I heard against The Killing. The only real knock I heard against The Killing was that the heist didn't succeed. And I'm going to be honest, we talked about this in the chat. None of us really cared in terms of like that being the best heist movie. I don't think that matters. And so I want to give Henry the point because I think he made the best argument, even though I've never seen his movie.
All right, and with that, it doesn't matter what I think. Henry is on the board. We are at a 3-3-3.
Maybe he'll smile more and stop bitching so much. That'll be good. Then they'll actually want to fight.
We are at a 1-1-1 three-way tie going into the final question.
No, fourth question.
Fourth question, right? No.
Yeah, we have one more.
You're right. Question. I am dumb. All right, we are at a 1-1-1 tie as we get into the fourth question, which is, what is the best movie about drugs? Which means, Cody, you're going to get 30 seconds for your opening, and you'll get the closer on that as well. So 30 seconds when you start talking.
All right, so I picked a movie from 2000. I picked Requiem for a Dream. This movie is brilliant in its use of drugs, and that's what the main thing I wanted to do. It is not just of the characters using. It is literally shot, edited, put together as with drugs. When they get high, every action speeds up. When they're on downs, it slows down. A character that you see in the beginning of the movie is literally ruining his mom's life because she's on drugs, and then his mom ends up going down the same path as him, and the conflict and the deep decline.
All right, we will go over to Henry. 30 seconds.
Nazario's gonna go second.
Nazario. All right, Nazario. 30 seconds for your opening.
To me, you cannot just focus on one thing when you're talking about drugs this way. You cannot focus only on addiction. You need to see how this affects lives, plural lives. So I'm going with the Brazilian film from 2002, City of God, which is basically a story of a town, a favela, ruled by crime and drugs, and how this decides all the parts of your lives.
All right, stopping a little bit early. Henry, 30 seconds when you start talking.
See, when I think of a movie that involves drugs, you got to understand that you have a movie that involves the concept of drugs, but what's surrounding it? You want characters that you understand why they're taking the drugs. You have characters that you understand what they're like when they're on drugs. You have characters that you understand that hopefully make an arc getting off drugs or the fighting the addiction. I'm going with Trainspotting, the Danny Boyle movie, because it has all the aspects of the drug life that you want, and it puts you in a perspective that hopefully you've never been on drugs. So here's exactly not only what you're going through, but what people around you are going through, and also what it's like potentially to get off the drugs.
Time. All right, the floor is open, gentlemen. Fight away.
I think the main problem is with City of God, no offense to you, it's just too much centered on everything else of the movie. The drugs is a point of it, and I agree with that, but it's not a strong point of that movie. The problem with Trainspotting, there's a lot of humor to go with that movie. There's a lot of things. I think Requiem does such a great job of making how uncomfortable drugs are to some people in their lives, and how it truly wrecks somebody from where they think they are to completely tearing them completely down. And I think Darren Aronofsky does that with a perfect blend of what he does with the score and with the soundtrack and the scene where his Harry is so wrecked, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to start selling the drugs and see how that goes. And then it ends up ruining his life and ruining his mother's life, and everybody surrounding them, and they can never shake the habit. And that's one of the hardest part. But one of the thing is, it's one of the most beautiful movies out there.
Sorry, you going there?
It is a very important part of City of God. There is a whole sequence in the middle of the film called The Apartment, which is the place where they center to sell drugs to all the other people in the favela. And they basically show a 5-minute cut of the story from the 60s to the present of all the people who have taken control of the apartment and are the people who are controlling the favela. If the main character, the main drug lord, Se Pequeño, takes control of the apartment, and that's the moment that he becomes the kingpin of the story. He even has one partner that only takes marijuana, and he's the mellow guy who always is trying to keep the peace between the bands. When the guy is taken out of the picture, then the drug war really starts, and they start commanding every aspect of their lives.
So the thing with City of God is you're seeing most of this movie through the perspective of Rocket, and he is your antagonist of the movie, or your protagonist of the movie. He's the guy that you're following, and because he wants to be a photographer, so he wanted to do his own thing. So don't get me wrong, yes, you're telling a story in the slums, and you're telling a story with drugs as a part of that life. But in reality, you could tell the same story, or with these same characters, tell it just from Rocket's perspective, take the drugs out of it, and you still have a fantastic, compelling movie with great characters. You have everything what's going on with his brothers, they're trying to be gang members, they're trying to be roughing up the streets, playing soccer in the road, being mean to their brothers and stuff, and drugs are not involved in that. You have the side story with one of Rocket's brother's friends where he's got the girl and they're having sex. I can't remember if she's pregnant or what's going on, but you have all that stuff, and all this stuff is not involving drugs. Don't get me wrong, drugs are in the movie, but it's not necessarily the most interesting part of the movie. You take drugs out of the movie, you still have a compelling story with great characters, great cinematography. Overall it's a good movie still, no matter what.
The thing is with Requiem, it's the heart shape of where, like, Harry comes back to at one point and sees his mom, and it's like, are you on drugs? And like has to break down to it, like, you literally, I've stolen everything from you, and you had to get your TV back numerous times because I was trying to get high off you, and now you're on the stuff. And it literally sees the divide between them, the hallucinations and the struggles that these two have, where literally Harry's mom is insane asylum by the end of it, because it's such a ruining structure. And yes, it's a hard movie to watch, but it's also just a great grip on what drugs really do. Trainspotting, I think, has got some humor moments. I think they could even sway that to a little bit. It could be like they could switch that movie around and make it about alcohol or something like that, and make it a little bit different, because the comedic points of that movie is they have some super huge laughs. And that's the problem I have with that movie. It doesn't really make me go back to the drugs as much. It makes me think of, like, okay, it's funny and they deal with some hard times, but I'm not stuck to it. And City of God, I don't want a sequence. I want a full movie about drugs, and that's the problem I have with City of God.
When I mentioned the stick, when I mentioned it was in the heart of the film, because it explains how everything starts crawling out to the whole story. The thing with your choices is transporting, sorry, is just way too fantastical. That movie goes on all different kind of fantasy places with the giant toilet that he swims in and the baby crawling in the room, and it doesn't even really date well. You see that movie today and you cannot really relate because the movie just went too far trying to sell a point and it doesn't really hold up. And the part with Requiem, it does show addiction at a more realistic level, but it also just goes a little off the rails in the end. The mother was taking basically diet pills, and the woman ends up in a mental asylum getting shock treatments. That is not a realistic thing to happen for the year 2000. And the way they keep explaining, yeah, the way they shoot it is original. The way Aronofsky pulls the action faster and slower when they are high or not is original too. But in the end, it's just a gimmick. The movie feels just like a collection of gimmicks to try to tell a story that is not really that complete. City of God is a complete story. It involves drugs. It's the heart of it. The engine that moves everything from both bands, Se Pequeño and Zanahoria. The both bands are fighting over the drug business because the one who controls the drug controls the favela.
Okay, so what I'm saying with so the thing with Requiem, unfortunately, it doesn't really have characters you want to latch on that you feel sorry for them. Don't get me wrong. Like we both have great movies. All three of us have great movies. But the thing is, when you want to have a compelling story and the best movie about drugs, you want to have a best full circle. And unfortunately, with Requiem for the Dream, it's just too much of a downer. You're looking down on these people with drugs. You feel sorry for them, but you don't feel for them. At no point do you ever feel like, hey, if I was in your shoes, here's how I would handle it. You're only looking at the point. It's like, hey, if I was in your shoes, this is exactly how it's going to go. It doesn't have any optimism. Whereas Trainspotting has different aspects of the life of the drug life where you're on drugs. There's many times where they've kicked the drugs, they've been sober for a couple months, a couple days at a time, and then something bad happens. They're like, hey, I'm back on it, and they're chilling at that house, or they meet those friends and they get them back on all the different types of influence. So it has different arcs back and forth where it unfortunately, and that's the realistic life of drugs, where it brings you get off it, you bring back on, you get off, you bring back on, you get addicted. Whereas unfortunately with Requiem, you're just on it for most of the part of the entire movie, and it's kind of a downer. You're going down slope the entire time. It represents the drug usage well, but it's not necessarily as compelling of a story, but it's kind of a downer. If it was a documentary, it would be fantastic, but as a movie, not so much.
I think the biggest problem with I think your arguments need to come up with something better than it doesn't compel to me, or they don't connect to me, because that's the problem with it. You just need to see movies through a different eye, because the main thing is Harry literally gets clean, doesn't use his stuff anymore, and starts getting buck and collecting money and trying to better himself, and then life hits the fan and he ruins. And it's not diet pills that she takes, it's literally speed, and that's the problem. And there's downers and uppers and stuff like that, and it literally rips her apart, where it's the harsh reality. She doesn't even know who she is anymore. All she's seen is this vision and the stuff, and pretty much the TV is even marking her. The problem with Trainspotting, yeah, there's too over the top stuff that comes with the drugs, and that's not compelling to the story at all. And the problem with City of God, there's so many different elements of that movie that are so entertaining. I think all three are great movies, but the problem is when it centers around drugs, I don't care if it's down or up. That doesn't matter to me. I want a movie that includes drugs and makes me feel for those characters, and I feel for every single one of them.
So my thing is with the Requiem, I'm not saying necessarily it doesn't appeal to me, but if you want the best movie about drugs, you want that one that's going to show the realism, but also give a lesson. And you don't have that arc in there with Requiem for a Dream.
You get the lesson.
With Trainspotting, you get the lesson of like what it's like going on the comparison with your friends. Unfortunately, these people, they kind of separate within the movie, so they're kind of doing their own thing. So it's kind of like different vignettes of their aspects. Where in Trainspotting, they're always together and they're handling it together. And it's kind of how they relate to each other. Everything with City of God, it's more of just a story about Rocket and everything cool with him. And yes, yes, they're trying to fight over the drug trade, but at the end of the day, you could do the same thing with like gang colors or all this type of stuff, or just fighting, or whatever. You have the same story, and you have a compelling story if you take the drugs out of it. So I'm not trying to get on smacks there, but it's not, the drug part is not as high, whereas our movie, it definitely is.
In one part of the movie, when they take the photo with the guns, the Se Pequeño, which is the leader of one of the bands, sees the picture, and he's high when he does it. And the thing is, because he's affected by the drugs, it's just he gets excited, like, whoa, I'm going to be a popular guy. If he had a clean mind in that moment, he probably would have realized that he was doing something stupid. It affects. It helps control who runs the favelas. And in the end, when the war ends and the little kids win, the first thing they do is, we're going to take the drug business here, we're going to go attack this over there, so we're going to take control now.
one of the harshest realities of drugs. Guess what? Sorry, Henry, that not everybody shoots up together in the room, and that makes a great united front. Drugs tear people apart and separate the families and ruin people, and that's literally what Requiem does. And they do a perfect shot in the overall movie. The whole movie is about drugs. That's the problem. It is overarching. Yours is like fantastical. It has a lot of big moments that when they're on high and they get sober and that stuff. That happens in my movie too. Harry literally cleans up and then gets back on it and then ends up passing. Like that's the problem with Requiem. Like that's how hard and painful Requiem. Trainspotting is that problem. And City of God has so many great more elements of the inner crime, and all that drama, and you have a slight slice of drugs, but it's not encompassed throughout the entire movie. Yes, the guy says he's high and makes a stupid mistake. Guess what? Everyone's high most of the time. So that's I won't weigh that. I'm saying the best overall movie involving drugs is Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, and real quick, I want to hit on that. If you look at The Big Lebowski, he's high all the time. He does stupid stuff, but that doesn't mean it's a movie revolving around drugs. Everything with Trainspotting, they come apart, they come together. It shows the different relationships, the different aspects of what they're going through and how they're able to work together. And that's a more important message that you want to have with drugs. How can we handle this together? And I don't want to talk about the second one, but the fact that you're able to come together and there's another story, it shows that how it ended. You're putting yourself in a position as a full circle movie of what you can get on for a full story. With unfortunately for yours, you're not as intrigued about yours. You don't care about your people as much. You feel sorry for them, but at no point is, like I said, if this was a documentary, it'd be fantastic. But as a movie that just doesn't have as much weight to it, other than the fact that that's real over stylized. And with it, mine, that's just how they look at things. They see the things in the toilet. You see the things with the baby. That's just how they look at things. That's imagination. And that's what drugs do.
Alrighty.
This was fun.
We are going to go right back to you, Henry, for your closing 30 seconds when you start.
So, City of God, if you take the elements out, you take the drug element out, you still have compelling characters, you still have a nice story, you still have action, you still have everything going on. With Requiem, unfortunately, it would be better off if it was like a documentary of real life people and you just don't really feel for them. You kind of feel bad for them, but you don't feel for them. And then with Trainspotting, there's different arcs. It has a full circle of all different aspects of what they're like on drugs, what they're like off drugs, what they're like together with drugs, and what everything that they're going through. And sometimes you just do stupid stuff, get back on drugs because your friends want you to. It's just that it has everything that you need in a drug movie, and it covers everything.
All right, Nazario, 30 seconds when you start talking.
The whole concept of you can take the drugs out and it will be the same, it doesn't make any sense. It's like saying you have a car and you take the motor out, it's going to still look pretty. It's not going to fucking run. It's the heart of the movie. It's what keeps the whole favela running. And Trainspotting, it's just, like I said, the characters may be compelling 20 years ago, but they're not anymore. And more proof of that is the sequel that you mentioned that nobody went to watch. It tried to follow the story of characters who you remember being something from the 90s, but it didn't really connect now. Requiem for a Dream is a cautionary tale. It exaggerates the things that are going to happen with drugs for the another eye, but on that.
And Cody, 30 seconds when you start talking.
Trainspotting has a big thing of the comedy, and the drugs could be there, they could not. But I'm saying they overanalyze the drugs as much. City of God, I'm with you on the thing that there's still the crime is more of a centerpiece of that than the drugs itself. The problem with the great thing about Requiem is literally it pulls a great performance from Marlon Wayans, Jennifer Connelly. They literally bring one of the best out of Jared Leto. The whole argument of them coming up and falling apart with the drugs is one of the key features, and the directing and editing and music ties into that perfectly, makes it feel like you're on drugs while you're watching it.
All right.
I just want to straight up say that was probably my favorite. That was awesome.
That was a tough one. I'll go ahead and go first, even though I don't want to. I think Nazario was down and getting kicked for a long time, but that closing kind of helped me a bit. But still, he didn't quite get it right back to where I needed it to be. Thank you, Lucas. I do look like a gnome.
You do. It's really weird.
So it was really between Henry and Cody for most of this, but I think Cody got more hits in on why Trainspotting as a comedy, it's still more entertaining as a comedy, and the drugs could be there, they couldn't be there, and it's more about, the group and the comedy dynamic, whereas Requiem for a Dream, everything about the production of it helps you understand the characters, so I'm going to give my point to Cody. Let's go over to Lucas.
Okay, so I'm with you on Nazario. I think Nazario made a choice that was really interesting and tried to bring a different perspective to this. I think also you kind of run into the problem that Requiem and Trainspotting are kind of the two answers, and if you have to go third, you have to pick something. But he failed. he failed to ever set the grounds for the debate in favor of himself. And that was my biggest problem, is that he was fighting the City of God debate on the battlefield of Trainspotting versus Requiem. And I think he just, interesting idea, never got there. For me, I disagree with you that the points against are the difference between Henry and Cody. I don't actually think there were really great points made against either. I think it really came down to the points for. And when it came down to the points for, I just heard significantly more from Cody. He talked about the characters. He talked about how it's shot. I'm so glad he brought up the point that the whole movie is just weird and trippy and bizarre. As the characters get fucked up, you watch a fucked up movie. And I just think it's a really messed up movie. And I also think he made a really good point about like the isolation of drugs and how that movie is fucking hard to watch. But I think that's exactly what you want from a movie about drugs. And Cody gets the point for me.
All right, Michael, your vote did not matter.
We know, Cody. That was...
would you have said anything?
That was an uphill battle.
I would have been with Cody as well because first of all,
I did my best.
Nazario's closing was great, and I wish if he had said that earlier and could have expanded on it, he might have snuck in there, but he just didn't have enough time. But Henry's thing about like Requiem being a documentary, that kind of helps like Requiem because that's like a drug. That's how brutal it is.
I was hoping you could take it if you did. I was hoping it was a swing and a miss. I had to go there.
Yeah,
Motherfuckers always trying to ice skate up hills, man. That was a tough one to fight for.
That they think it's real life, like it's real people.
I want to address something that Lucas said. Yeah, I actually was second picking the movies, not third. But the thing is, there's only one answer.
Yeah,
it's fucking Requiem for a Dream. As soon as
I'm so happy. As soon as I won this, because I don't have to win the next. I don't have to win the next.
Exactly.
As soon as Cody picked that, I could have picked Transpointing, but it was gonna be a losing battle either way. So I decided to make it an interesting argument. So
I do respect that.
All right.
So I'm locked into the speed round.
You are.
Right?
But that Cody is making it to the speed round.
Well, I will say as an executive decision, if Cody wins this, then me and Nazario would do a speed round from that question that you deleted.
That's what I was thinking. All right, so we are on the main event, fifth and final question. Cody's going to the speed round. This is really to see who is going to be facing him in the speed rounds. And your question: what movie will win Best Picture at the 91st Academy Awards? And Cody, you're in the lead, so you will get to open and close. So you're 30 seconds when you start talking.
Green Book.
All right.
The record. Basically how it's going to break down is it's going to be a brutal in the fight. I don't need to build up my movie. I will just say it in the debate.
Fair enough. I respect that.
All right. Well, the shortest opening in the history of confidential cinema, about 3 seconds. We're going to go over to Nazario. 30 seconds for your opening.
I'm similar to Cody. I think it kind of speaks for itself. The movie that's going to win is A Star Is Born. There's nothing else to say.
Respect.
And with the extra 0.2 seconds, Cody still has the record. Over to Henry. Can you break the record for your opening?
No, I'm not trying to be cool. So what I'm going is I'm going a pick that unfortunately my opponents aren't going to agree with, and that's fine because I'm going to tear them down. I'm going with The Favorite from Yorgos Lanthimos, and this is a movie that has everything that I'm going to talk about later. So I'm going to go with The Favorite to win Best Picture.
And he was 11 seconds longer than the rest of them. We're going to get into the debate.
That's not the only thing that's 11 longer.
All right, Cody, go ahead and start.
Yeah, okay, so Star is Born, great, but way overhyped, and it's you're probably going to win Best Director, so congratulations, you can hold on to that, because the Oscars like to split things into little categories most of the time. And favorite, guess what? You're the Grand Budapest Hotel. You're going to win Best Costume, Best probably sound mixing, Best Makeup, you'll have those great moments. You may even win an actress or an actor, but the whole problem is that a period piece like that I don't think is going to win. The Green Book literally has to deal in the object of race. It hits all the quadrants in the Oscar category. They have to be a little edgy. They're probably going to pick a race film, which is stupid and dumb, but that's probably where it's going to go. I don't think I think Lady Gaga will get hype, but she won't win, and that's the main problem. I think Green Book has a great message this year, and I think Green Book has it.
So why I'm going with the favorite is it's going to be, unfortunately for your two movies, it's going to be a similar situation in 2016, what it was with La La Land and Moonlight, how it kind of split the votes and went for. I honestly think both of your movies are going to contradict themselves in the voting, and then you have the favorite where it's going to sneak up and it's going to get there because of multiple reasons as well. Not just on that, but also because of the fact that it's deserving. How they're going with the best pictures lately, they're being progressive. 2 years ago, like I said, with Moonlight, they represented the African Americans. Last year with The Shape of Water, not necessarily the main characters weren't Latino, but the director was a Latino director, so they gave him some love. They gave some representation. This year, they're going to represent the female demographic, and that's why they're going to go with the favorite, and they're really going to show that they have honor with that, because although it may be playing it safe, doing a period piece and doing all that, but they're going to represent the females, and that's going to get ratings. They're worried about ratings and showing that the favorite is going to win something also from an auteur director with who's off the rails crazy. If you've seen his other movies, that's going to get respect for there. So it's going to show that they're willing to take chances, but also show it up for the women. Nazario?
Did he freeze?
It's not a good time to freeze, bub.
Pause the time.
Yeah. Come on, buddy. You can do it. Hey, we're only at an hour 15, which is really good for this format.
Is anybody?
Okay, he's back.
No, you're good now.
You're good. You're back.
Why do people freak out when they freeze? It's just common sense. Just relax. It's going to come back.
Okay.
Relax.
All right. So whenever you're ready, you are good.
You're good.
If there's something that the Oscars enjoy doing, is celebrating themselves. And there's nothing more than an actor who decides at late point of his career that he's going to try directing. And he brings up a musical artist, and she has a great role and develops. And the movie itself, it's a celebration of music, which they also love. That's why Chicago won. And that's basically the thing you mentioned, that the last couple of years have been movies more progressive. I think that's going to give the voters a license to feel like, you know what? We already gave Moonlight an Oscar. We already gave Guillermo del Toro an Oscar. Maybe we can do something we really like. And you said it yourself, that the popularity matters. And out of these three movies, this is the one that actually made a bunch of money and a lot of people watch. So if they want to bring more eyeballs to the show, more viewers, they're going to celebrate big with A Star is Born.
Yeah, the problem with you, Henry, is you want to empower women, but if they're going to empower anybody, it's probably going to be from Stars Born, if anything, because that's one of the selling points. They literally gave Jennifer Hudson an Oscar for just singing, and they'll probably do the same for Lady Gaga. The problem with I think the favorite is really good. It's going to have a lot of those Oscars like Mad Max Fury Road. That Mad Max was a beautiful film and a great film, but at the end of the day, it won all those secondary Oscars that at the end of the show that no one cares about. I just don't think it thinks. I think Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali will literally tie this up where they will win both of those categories and then win Best Picture, because that movie is brilliant from start to finish.
See, you want to compare this to Fury Road, but the main criticism I hear from Fury Road is the fact that it doesn't have a story. The favorite has a story, which you have two competitive women coming up from the slums. You have Emma Stone's character, who's
screenplay.
Okay, but listen, she comes up from the slums and she works her way up, and it's compelling. But it also shows that you have a powerful woman in Olivia Colman. I think that's her name. I'm everything. We're not going to get perfect, but Olivia Colman's character, how it shows that she's the queen, and the fact that she has Rachel Weisz's character on her side as her side person. It's the triangle perspective, so it shows different personalities of the women. So not only is it representing women, it's representing different type of women. With Star is Born, it's generic. It's the fourth time that this story has been told. It's a happy story. So yes, maybe Lady Gaga will get representation for actress, but that's it. It might not even get it might not get screenplay. It might not get direction because it played it safe, kind of like with everything. It's just you might get actor, but yeah, it's honestly going to get washed over because everyone's like, oh, it plays it safe.
It's 2018, man. You really are betting your horses on a movie like The Favorite.
Yep. And
Green Book, it's a movie that needed to make a bigger splash to be remembered by the Oscars time. It didn't even make a bigger splash than Star is Born with the critics. It's in the 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, when Star is Born is over 90. And like I said, they like this kind of movie. We're not arguing which one is the better movie. We're arguing which one is going to win. And if you want to go with the odds, you have to go with, this is the story of Lady Gaga turning into an actress and showing off that she can do it. This is the story of Bradley Cooper showing that he can direct, and giving a shit again, he can actually fucking act. And it's a musical to boot. Everybody wanted to watch it. They brought it back to IMAX. Everybody wanted to watch it again, and everybody is excited about it.
Are you going, Cody? You're muted.
You're muted.
Stop muting yourself.
Stop muting yourself.
All right, so I guess I'm going to go because he fucked up. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock down Green Book real quick. So unfortunately, it's one of those movies where it's a white savior movie. You have Mahershala Ali character where he comes and he has, it could have been really good where you had a story where you have an African American who's at a high power. Oh, that's great. He's representing. He's strong, but he's going to also have an employee of an African American, and not necessarily from the servant aspect, but out of respect. But he had a white guy, and then he's going to. So the whole point of the Green Book, if you guys aren't familiar, it's in the past where when you're in the South, the Green Book is where you can go for the African Americans and the different places where they can go. So it's a story where it's like, oh, the white guy has the higher ups. So you have the African American where he's I don't want to call him famous, but he's up there. He's got money. He's got some whatever. He's up there. And then you have the white guy who he's lower, but when you actually put them together, the roles reverse. So you have him playing all the shows, he's still being a servant playing for the shows, he can never do anything for the white guy, and you have the white guy who's always just like having his back and fighting for him and protecting him, and we've seen that before. It's nothing new, but it didn't take enough risks. It was also very safe, and it just nothing like 12 Years a Slave or anything like that where it showed things, or Moonlight where it showed the whole African American community. So it played it safe, but it's very generic.
Yeah, so the main point is it doesn't matter that relationship, the directing style, everything works perfectly in that movie, and that's why I think it will help it win Best Picture. The problem with your movie is literally somebody rising up from the nothing. Brooklyn came out from an immigrant, and that didn't go anywhere. There's been a lot of powerful women movies that have been nominated that have never won, and 2018 is going to be really no different. That's basically what they kind of did for Shape of Water, because Sally Hawkins speaks nothing in that entire movie, and they end up walking away with the Oscar because that movie is so powerful. So I don't believe that will sell. I think there's too much style and stuff in your movie that will let it win other stuff, because how the Oscars work, they want to break it down and let other things win. And I'm sorry to tell you, if anything is actually going to win for women empowerment, it's going to be actually what the freak? It's Nazario's film, because at the end of the day, when Lady Gaga winning would draw more audience to the audience than anything from The Favorite. That's the main problem from your whole argument. My problem is my movie shows the race between white and black, that they can get along and have a great relationship, and show that almost buddy cop thing.
So I want to touch. Okay, go ahead.
Like I said, the thing with The Favorite is that movie is a period piece about kings and queens. And when was the last time that resonated with anybody? The closest thing you got is Shakespeare in Love 20 years ago, and that wasn't even really that kind of movie. If you have to go real back to even matter with something like that. Even Elizabeth got nominated, but it didn't win in the end. And Green Book is just a good story, but it's a simple story that needed to be a lot bigger to actually make an impact to win the Oscars. It reminds me of Good Will Hunting that everybody liked, and it was a really nice little movie, but in the end, it didn't matter. It didn't win. You have to go with the big stuff. You have to go with the one that hits with the most people and the kind of movie that Hollywood enjoys celebrating. Because in the end, this is a bunch of people from Hollywood who want to choose what they like, and this is going to be the one. You are going to feel like they have license because they already gave 12 Years a Slave and Birdman and Shape of Water and Moonlight. So wait, you know what? Let's do this Star is Born this time.
So you guys keep knocking The Favorite for comparing to movies like Brooklyn or Shakespeare in Love, and that's fine. But guess what? Those movies didn't have style. This movie has the same concept where it represents a win, but also has a lot of style. It's flashy. It's more entertaining, so it's going to be very intriguing. And I'm being fair right now, where you guys haven't seen the movie, so I'm not going to be cheap. But there's a moment in the movie where it takes a risk, and it shows the different aspects of what the women can take. So not only are they smart women, they're empowering women, and the relationship between them is great. It has everything that you need. Where it's a period piece, it has the women in lead. It's going to win, and like I said, your two movies are going to cancel each other out in the votes. So say you guys both get 5 each, that's fine. But guess what? I'm going to get 6. So my movie's going to win. The question is what's going to win, and that's why. Because you guys are going to cancel each other out. That happens all the time.
The two movies up for it are the two best is A Song Is...
No, I said you guys are going to get 5 each, and mine's going to get 6. So it's still going to be in the lead.
So you're saying it's going to split, but how do you even know that? You don't even work for the Academy. The basic point is they want to draw an audience. They want to draw things.
I'm throwing out a point.
I'm thinking the main viewpoint is where you're going to get... Can you shut the fuck up?
I'm just throwing out a
Gosh.
point. You asked. I'm letting you know.
No,
I'm
you're
throwing out a point.
You're throwing out a point because you're splitting the points because
Yeah,
that doesn't
exactly.
mean
5,
anything.
5,
At the end
6.
of the day,
Time.
5, 5, 6.
The
All
guy
right.
that's in the hole has to talk his way out just because he's going
I'm
to
not in
lose
the hole.
this
I was
point by a
confident. I was
large
the most
point.
confident.
I
All
think you
right.
have to sit out of your own speed round in a championship match. I would fucking love that.
I was the most
Henry,
confident.
you have 30 seconds to
bargain
give us
point.
your closing right now.
All right, so everything with the favorite, it has the period piece. It
Just
checks
arguing the point.
it checks the boxes of everything that you say about the movie. You have the empowerment of women. Green Book, it cancels itself out because it's not only safe, but it's also something that it's been doing before with the white savior, and nobody wants to see that anymore. That doesn't represent the African American community as well. Star is Born is just like La La Land, where they feel bad for even giving it the votes, but it's an okay movie, so they're going to give it some votes, but they're going to feel bad. It's not good enough. It plays it safe. It's a story that's been told multiple times, and it's about on par with everything that's been done before. And those movies didn't win Best Picture, so this one's definitely not going to win Best Picture. So not only those two going to cancel off for not being as good enough, the favorite's way better.
All right, Nazario, 30 seconds for your closing.
If you expect the favorite to win, I think you're really deluding yourselves. Look how hard you're trying to sell that movie that nobody has been even interested in watching. They love celebrating themselves, like I've said. And A Star is Born, it hits all quarters. The musician who turns into an actress, the actor that turns into a director, the music extravaganza with the big stars and the big light. It's going to win. I'm not saying it's the best one, but it's the one who's going to win. That's the question. And Green Book, like I said, nobody's even going to remember that movie by the next month. Maybe Marshall Ali's going to get a nomination for supporting actor. That's going to be enough.
All right, Cody, 30 seconds for your closing to finish out the main rounds.
The Oscars want to win popular vote. They want to get more people into it. And how do you get the person on the stage? You want to get that person twice. And it's probably going to be Lady Gaga at the end of the day because Star is Born is probably going to win because that's the whole viewpoint. If not, it's going to be Green Book because the main viewpoint is that Green Book has a race card that is different than most movies in the past. And just because it's going to split votes, it's a total opposite viewpoint because you don't know what they're going to do. I think Favorite's going to win a lot of special Oscars like sound and screenplay and stuff like that, but it won't take home the big award because period pieces don't do well in the Oscars.
Time.
Anymore.
All righty. Michael, you didn't get to include your vote, so we'll let you go first this time. Where are you leaning and why?
So first off, I want to say that Henry was making me laugh this whole round. He started off by saying that Moonlight represented the black people, and then he went to say Shape of Water, and then he had to pause because I think he was going to say like Marine Life or something like that. Then he had to switch to director. And I did enjoy Henry like pretty much just dismissing La La Land. That was because we all know how much he loves that movie. But there was a pretty clear leader for the whole round for me. Nazario just basically knocked every point down. Like he played pretty much perfectly. He mentioned that the last couple of years they have given the awards to 12 Years a Slave, Moonlight, Shape of Water, Birdman, and he was right that this is a movie that they captured the nation basically, and that's what the Academy will want to vote. It's an actor turned director. He mentioned that. He mentioned Lady Gaga will win just like Jennifer Hudson, and Cody, was pretty much helping Nazario this whole time. So my point goes to Nazario.
All right, Lucas, where are you leaning and why?
This is tough. This was tough. I reject the idea that like any of these is crazy suggestion. If you just a little fact check for the audience out there, if you go to Gold Derby, look at the odds. These are the 1, 3, and 4 most likely movies to be nominated / win for Best Picture. So they're all good choices. That said, I do agree with Michael that there was a really clear winner to me. When it comes down to what wins Best Picture, it's all about the narrative. And it's not really about the best movie. It's not really about anything. We can all pretend that. But it really is about the narrative. I think Nazario made an amazing argument. He made every point you needed to make about why A Star is Born is the movie they want. Celebrating themselves, musicals, actor turned director, somebody coming in from another area. It was just a really, 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 really well played argument. And I think he also made the point that after all these years of giving awards to black films, Latino directors, you could definitely see a year where the Academy feels like they've done enough to combat the Oscars so white critics that they might feel comfortable picking A Star is Born. My point goes to Nazario.
And with that, my point does not matter. We have our speed round finals. Cody versus Nazario in the speed round for the debated champion. That means Henry's unfortunately eliminated.
Congratulations, guys. That was great.
As we get into the speed
Smart on
round.
Cody for double teaming me, because that was a good tactic.
Well, when you went dick for the last minute, I was over it.
Because I was trying to be nice because you guys hadn't seen any of the movies, so I was trying to be fair and be generic, and it bit me in the ass. That's fine.
All right, as we get into we're going into off the cuff. It is our basically speed round, and whoever says the answer gets their time first. I believe it is 20 seconds or 5. What is it? 20 and then
it's 30 and 20 or whatever. I don't know.
30 and 20. All right. They're going to have 30 seconds for their opening, 20 for their rebuttal, and we are going to get right into it with your first off the cuff question, which is, what is the best movie starring Ryan Gosling?
Nice guys.
Blade Runner 2049.
All right, Cody, you talked first. You are going to have 30 seconds for your opening whenever you start talking.
Nice Guys does a great job of being an original played by Shea Black, where Russell Crowe, that hasn't given a shit in many years, actually cares in this movie, and they do a great buddy cop that's funny but also creepy and scary. Blade Runner 2049 is more beautiful on everything it does, but I don't think the storyline is there as much as there. So I think it's more of a director's tale, not his best work, because he doesn't really have that much to shine from it. In Nice Guys, there's literally comedic moments and dark moments throughout the entire thing, and Shane Black directs it perfect.
All right, Nazario, 30 seconds where you start talking for why Blade Runner 2049 is the best Ryan Gosling movie.
When we're saying it's the best movie, we're talking about the best overall movie. We're not talking about the best performance. But even if we were, the performance he gives in this movie, where he's playing a replicant that is a person that is supposed to look like a human but less than a human, he throws the pitch perfectly. You can feel the difference in the way he acts against the people who are supposed to be human, and all the things he questions about his own reality while he tries to contact something, even if it's a girlfriend that it's actually a machine.
All right, and stopping a little early there. Cody, 20 seconds for your rebuttal for the best movie starring Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling in this movie has to play a crazy, over-the-top funny guy, which is not normally to him. The whole problem is Blade Runner 2049, he's outshined by a lot of those characters in that movie, and he plays a great piece, but it's not one of the greatest pieces of that movie. Nice Guys, he literally makes Russell Crowe care about that movie with Shane Black directing it perfectly. The overall movie is a great movie.
All right, Nazario, 20 seconds where you start talking.
I think the star of the Nice Guys is actually Shane Black with his script. I can see other actors doing that role. I can see Leonardo DiCaprio doing that role and the movie being just fine. In Blade Runner 2049, I think it's a movie that actually, in some eyes, including myself, surpasses the original Blade Runner in its scope and its beauty. And it's so complex, and to find a movie that works so well, 30 years, definitely is brilliant.
All right, Lucas, where are you leaning and why?
Two really good movies, two really good arguments. Can I hear the exact wording of the question, please, one more time?
The exact wording of the question one more time is the best movie starring Ryan Gosling.
Okay, so the reason I'm going one way and rather than the other is because I felt like one competitor talked more about Gosling and why they mattered to the movie. I think Nazario got a little caught up talking about why the movie is great and didn't spend enough time on Gosling. I go Cody because he focused specifically on Gosling and why Gosling was one of the reasons that the movie was great.
All right, Michael, where are you leaning and why?
I was kind of leaning the same way. It's tough when it gets down to this. You have to just pretty much like get into semantics, and that was the sort of the thing that separated it for me, was Cody talking more about Gosling, and that's, you have to make decisions, and that's Cody gets a point for me because of that.
All right, so Cody goes up 3-2, and we get into the second speed round question. Your second speed round question is, what is the best performance by a teenager ages 13 to 18?
I don't know when they're how old they were in the movie.
I was thinking the same. Are they portraying a teenager?
Lucas said he will fact check, but it says best performance by a teenager the age of a teenager clarification 13 to 18 years old. I'm assuming when they are in the movie.
Yeah.
So call me ageist, but I'm assuming their age. Yeah, Lucas wanted me to clarify actor age, not character age. And he's going to count the year before they were released when they were shooting.
Actor age.
Yep, the actor's age, not the character's age. The actor's age. Normally they coincide, but actor's age when they shot that. This is probably my favorite speedrun question we have.
It's a better main round question, to be honest, but yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Good thing I'll edit all this out.
Lucas messaged me. He's like, throw some out. I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I want them to come up with some on their own.
I'm thinking. I'm just checking the ages, man. Because
I don't. That's the hardest part. Like,
I have a couple of options that come to mind, but
Can it be best child actor? Like
Be-
in that
best per-
range? Can
best
you
per-
change
yeah,
it?
best performance by a teenager, 13 to 18 is what the question is. So I'm letting you.
I know, but the ages itself. If you could just do child, like it'd be a lot easier. Because we don't know how old they were when they filmed the movie. We have to do so much fact checking.
No, just what Lucas said is just minus a year from when the movie was released to their age. So.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
So if the movie came out in 2018, do 2017 to the year they were born, and if it's within that range, it counts.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was born in 2000, then to 2017, then it would be 17 years old.
So, like, Henry, you want to throw some examples out at them, or do you want them to come up with some on their own?
No, I got one. Give me a second. Of course he doesn't. Why would he?
I don't know. It's his show. I don't want to be like, oh, these are some good options you could take.
Well, it's just tough because a lot of the ones that you look up online are all like under 13. So.
Oh, I've got 3 off the top of my head that I'm like, these are good.
I even looked up teenage performances, and it didn't even. They're all child actors. I want teenage.
I got 3.
So it can be 19 or 18?
18.
18. 18 is the cap.
Yeah, no. Trust me, the 19 one would have been the answer, but I think that's why.
I know exactly what he's thinking of, because that would have been one of the ones I would have thrown out had it not been fact checked. I don't know why he said 18. 19 should count. That's a teenager.
Yeah, but there's one answer where it's just too easy. That's why.
Oh, that's why he did that? Okay.
That's what I would have to assume, because, there's only one answer.
Everything I find is older guys playing teenagers.
Might have to scrap the question.
Do you want me to throw some out? I could throw some out.
No, because then they're not passionate about it. Defeats the purpose.
Do
you guys want to scrap the question?
I do.
Nazario?
No, scrap the question?
I think there has to be a better question.
All right.
Okay, well, I'll just switch it to the other one that we threw out.
Cody, Caleb, what were your options?
I was going to say Elsie Fisher in 8th grade. She was 14. And then also, I think Haley Steinfeld in the age of 17 was old enough. The one that I would have thrown out was Tom Holland, but that's also, I think he was 19. So.
Also, Haley Steinfeld in True Grit, maybe.
I believe she's 11 when she does that film.
Yeah. I was gonna do. Jacob
No, she was born in '96.
12.
She was born in '96, and that came out in 2010 minus a year.
Okay,
That would have been.
Could have even done one of the Harry Potter.
Anyway,
Yeah,
I like
Harry
that.
Potter,
I like that question.
The kids.
That'll be a main round question. I like that. I'll keep it.
That is
Okay.
probably a better question
Hold
if you get the ability to research.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a lot harder to pull off the top of your
You
head.
can hold on to that question. The replacement speedrun question is: what is the worst Brian De Palma film?
Snake Eyes.
All right, so Nazario is going to go first. Cody, you got one?
He's looking them up, so give him a second.
This is a good question to remind people that you cannot rely on everyone having seen the movie you're talking about specifically in a question like this. So think about that when you're making your case.
So what Luke is saying, he hasn't seen Snake Eyes.
I have not seen Snake Eyes. Why on earth would I have seen Snake Eyes?
There's one on here that I feel like is mainstream enough to compete with Snake Eyes, but we'll see what Cody picks.
He's not a super mainstream director, and
But I'm just saying,
I would Mission to Mars.
That was the one I was talking about. So,
All right, Mission to Mars and Snake Eyes. Nazario, 30 seconds when you start talking.
Snake Eyes is a forgettable movie that came out in 1998. Nick Cage was still fresh from living in Las Vegas, so everybody was expecting something great, and it just didn't work at all.
All right. Cody, 30 seconds when you start talking.
Snake Eyes was still Nicolas Cage had his acting chops, so it's at least compelling to watch, and at least has some intrigue and some drama behind it. Mission to Mars, there's so many Mars movies, and they're all shit and terrible, and this one probably takes the cake. It has Gary Sinise and Tim Robbins, and probably you didn't know that because this movie did not do well at all. It's over CGI, and bad 2000 CGI. That's even worse about the entire movie. Snake Eyes has intrigue and some gambling elements and some crime that you can like to, and people in the 90s sure like it. It's the same realm with
Time.
and all those.
All right, Nazario, 20 seconds for your rebuttal when you start talking.
I don't know why you're saying Mission to Mars is a bad film. It's maybe an average film, but it has great scenes in it. The scene where the gas explodes, and they have to sacrifice one of the astronauts flying around the spaceship has good effects, and it's really intriguing. Snake Eyes is so bad, they spoiled the movie in the trailer. They have the villain speaking in the trailer when you can obviously tell it's Gary Sinise. It's ridiculous.
All right, time. And Cody, 20 seconds for your rebuttal when you start talking.
Hell, in 90s action movies, they ruin the villain in every movie. Con Air, you know exactly what's going to happen by the end of it. It's still fun and enjoyable. And guess what? The problem with it in Mars movie, there's better Mars movies that did it better, or out of space movies. Armageddon came out not too before that and did it way better. The CGI is overused. The characters are too hyped up. They're not rememberable. It's just a bad 2000s movie.
All right, I'm going to go first. Cody's got my point. He just kind of ripped into his movie more, and Nazario didn't do a whole lot to attack Mission to Mars or to defend Mission to Mars. He did a little defense, but he didn't really defend Snake Eyes as much as I wanted to hear from him. So I'm going to give Cody my point. Lucas, where are you leaning and why?
The rebuttals are really, really strong. For me, it goes back to the initial arguments, and I think Nazario made a crucial error when he only used like a tiny percentage of his time. And he also made a mistake of calling his film forgettable. Forgettable doesn't necessarily mean bad. A lot of movies are forgettable but not bad. That just means you don't remember it. If the movie is truly terrible, you'd remember it. And I think that slip up and just not choosing to play with your time was a really bad move, and I think Cody wins because of that.
All right, so that means Cody gets the point. He is up for 2. This next one is a must-win for Nazario, or else Cody will be the debated champion. Question number 3. What is the best movie that is over 3 hours long?
JFK.
All right. Cody's taking JFK.
The Godfather Part 2.
All right. Godfather Part 2 and JFK. Surprised no one mentioned Lord of the Rings 3 or Hateful Eight. There's some big ones that are missing. But
don't put Hateful Eight next to Lord of the Rings and JFK. Oh my god.
I like Hateful Eight. Anyway, Cody, 30 seconds. Schindler's List, another one.
Obviously.
Cody, 30 seconds when you start talking.
I didn't want to rise the juice card. Okay, I'll start. No. JFK is one of those movies that really doesn't feel like 2 hours, and it has great characters all throughout. It feels great, just intrigued to see what all went on during that day and leading up to that day in that presidency, and that I think Kevin Costner does an amazing job at that performance. I think Godfather 2 is, again, it's hard to argue against one of the greatest movies, but Godfather is one of those movies that people like of that trilogy better, and I don't think that I'm not going to give it to the best sequel all the time because there's better movies that are expanded over 3 hours. That movie has great character moments, but it does lag at some point.
All right, Nazario, 30 seconds when you start talking.
The great thing about The Godfather Part 2 is that it does not feel like a 3-hour movie. It tells two stories concurrently. It takes the young Vito Corleone story and the present Michael Corleone story, and it does it so effortlessly that you never get bored and you never get disengaged. The movie could have lasted easily another hour, and you would still be interested in the lives of these families and the crimes they are committing. JFK, it's good if you are a history buff and you like political thrillers, but even then, it kind of drags in the middle a bit because it gets
Time.
back in.
All right. Back to Cody, 20 seconds for your rebuttal.
I think The Godfather did that movie better, and they just compelled on those characters, so they were able to develop it. That's the problem. I think Gary Oldman, Jack Lemmon, and Walter Matthau in this JFK movie, it's a crucial moment that shocked histories because he was such a political man for everything, and they made it feel like this political thriller did not feel like 3 hours long of overpacing about a president's death. You got to actually learn about the character, which is a perfect performance by Costner.
Time.
Godfather's slow.
All right. Nazario, 20 seconds when you start talking.
The Godfather 2 evolved the characters from The Godfather. It made them more interesting. It took the story to another place. It continued their lives, and it never got boring. JFK is dragged in the middle so much that I honestly feel like 40 minutes of the movie is just Kevin Costner going back and to the left, 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 and it's
Time.
just dragged on.
All right. I'm going to start with Michael. Where are you leaning and why?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say it doesn't feel like 3 hours. That means nothing at this point. I'm going to go with Nazario because he hit on specifics of each movie. He hit on specifics of Godfather 2, about how it evolves characters, and then his takedown of JFK about Kevin Costner, that kind of hit me at the end there. He snuck in there, so I'm going to give my point to Nazario.
All right. Lucas, where are you leaning and why?
It's interesting how in questions like this, winning and losing comes down to like 5 to 7 seconds of a part of an argument. And for me, that happened with Cody in the first argument when he started talking about the sequels and it's not the best sequel. And he kind of just wasted like 15 seconds of his argument on something that was completely irrelevant. And for me, Nazario was really focused on the question. And it was really funny that they basically started their arguments the exact same words. So, but I will give Nazario my point for just being super focused on the two movies and the components of them.
This is fun.
All right. So it comes down to this. Cody's up 4-3. If Cody gets this, he is the debated champion. If Nazario gets this, we go to the final question. The last speed round question that I have, what is the best movie with a city in the title?
City of God. Or do you want a name of an actual
I
city?
think it's
He
the
said
name
a
of
city.
LA Confidential.
LA Confidential is what Cody's taking. Nazario, you have some more time to think about it.
It has to be a city specifically? Or
Yep,
can it be
a
a state?
specific city.
City.
Dallas Buyers Club.
All right, LA Confidential versus Dallas Buyers Club. Cody, you talk first. You have 30 seconds when you start talking.
Can I hear the question one more time?
The question is the best movie with a city in the title.
I think LA Confidential does a beautiful thing of showing how harsh the streets of LA really were and makes that title mean so much more when it's literally laced with it. I think the problem with Dallas Buyers Club, yes, it's a fantastic movie, got great performance, but it's not overall. Those characters are strong, but not overall the movie. LA Confidential does some unique styles with editing and everything else to show that grit, and Kevin Spacey and Russell Crowe do some great performances throughout the entire movie to make it compelling and interesting, and it encapsulates the entire title of that, where it's of LA Confidential.
Time.
Sorry, Dallas Buyers Club.
All right, Nazario, 30 seconds when you start talking.
if we're talking about great performances, Matthew McConaughey actually was an award winner for this film, and Jared Leto, it was one of his best performances in movies in a long time. The city is important in Dallas Buyers Club because it's actually the center of Texas, which is one of the most conservative states in the United States, and in the middle of the crisis of AIDS, when nobody wanted to give any chance to gay people. LA Confidential is a good mystery movie, but there are a lot of those. Going back even to the Maltese Falcon and the old Noir.
Cody, 20 seconds when you start talking.
The argument that there's other movies like that doesn't matter about best movie. The overall is it has the best movie because it encapsulates the entire city. The problem is, thank you for making my point, that the characters were great in that movie, but that's what you remember for that movie. You don't overall remember the story because you remember Jared Leto and Matthew McConaughey's character. You remember the entire compass of my story and the directing and the editing. That's why it makes it a better film.
Time.
City in the title.
All right, Nazario, 20 seconds when you start talking.
It has good performance, but it's also got a good story. It basically tells the development of the AIDS culture in Texas in the middle of the crisis of the 80s. And it also demonstrates the change that people can go through when you identify with the disease. The first reaction Matthew McConaughey has is that he feels like he's being called a homosexual just because he has the disease, and then he learns to accept and understand other people.
All right, we're going to go to Lucas. Where are you leaning and why?
I was going to ask if we could get 15 more seconds of them debating, please.
No.
I will. I'm interested in hearing a different perspective on these arguments. I feel like we got a lot of the same points.
I defer to the showrunner.
I say no. Just go with it.
Yeah.
The question was simple.
Yeah.
We already changed questions before. Just.
Okay. I don't think we got to go with what we got. We got to go with what we got.
Okay. God. So I'm conflicted on two reasons. One, I liked Cody's rebuttal significantly more. But I think in his opening, he kind of got caught up talking about LA. And I think he kind of corrected that really well in the second one. And got back to the idea of it being the movie and not specifically the city. I'm not going to hold Nazario's... There was a couple of like English language flubs that I thought were kind of funny. But I'm not going to hold those against him. I think I'm gonna... This is really close. I think I'm gonna lean Cody, but that is like razor thin. That was a really close and kind of interesting, but at the same time a little disappointing round.
All right, Michael, we're gonna go to you. Where are you leaning and why?
Yeah, kind of with Lucas here. Just it's very, very even. And the thing that sort of stood out to me, the one point, it was Cody talking about how Dallas Buyers Club is more of it's an actor's movie, but as a film, it doesn't hold up to LA Confidential, and I like that he hammered that point home. So for that reason, I'm going to give Cody the point.
And your winner, and the new debated confidential cinema champion, Cody Newberry. Yeah, I would have gone by the razor thin margins with Cody as well.
I personally think Nazario blew him out on that one, so I was really shocked. That's the only argument all day that I just disagreed with.
Didn't counter me at all, though. Really.
Yeah, he did. He hit you with the whole. You said that it's all about an actor's thing. He said it's a great story. The whole AIDS crisis.
No, I know he countered that, but he never hit LA at all. He just said, "Oh, there's other films that did."
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying based on their judgments, they never talked about that. They just talked about how he was an actress, and I just disagreed with that. So overall, everybody. So I'm gonna jump back into the host chair. So everybody, this is it breaks my heart that I wasn't even able to compete for this. I only disagreed with one judgment in the main rounds. Other than that, the guys did a fantastic job judging that. And even if I thought I might have won one, I definitely understood why others were picked, except for the one that I'm talking about, which is not a big deal. If it's only 1 out of 5, that's a fantastic job. And it was a 3-way panel. That it is what you get. Emotions are high with this because we're all passionate debaters. This is only Nazario's second debate in his career, and the fact that he took it this far is just that's amazing. And I already know that this is going to be one for the ages, and hopefully we get the views because we all deserve it. It was a lot of fun. But I just want to start off by saying to our judges, Michael Campbell, thank you very much for judging. You were a last-minute replacement on this, and I felt like you did a good job. Can you give us a little insight on your opinions on the three of us as debaters?
I actually didn't see Nazario's first match. I didn't realize it was his only second match ever. I've seen Henry and Cody's like all around before, so it's actually, I didn't know that. So the fact that this is his second match ever, I'm actually really impressed. And I kind of knew that, like you guys talked about before, that Henry and Cody can definitely get going and get heated, but it didn't really delve into like a big shouting match. So I was
we
really
tried to
happy
be
with,
respectful with the fingers.
Yeah, that's going to be hilarious to watch.
I really want to do this most times.
Well done to Nazario. He killed it for his second match.
There you go. And Lucas, quick thoughts. You're a fellow debater in this club. Thoughts on us as opponents and just as general being an audience member?
You guys were really, really good. I coming into this, I kind of knew what Henry was going to be, and you showed exactly what you were. You're a really good debater, but you didn't show me anything new. I really didn't know much about Nazario. He really did impress me. I think there was his weakness at times is picking an answer that is a little harder to defend. I think that kind of, especially like the Inception and City of God, like I think he had really good arguments. He just kind of put it, he like basically, you guys walked out into a battlefield and he dug himself a 5-foot hole, stepped into it, and then tried to fight you guys. And then I think the part I was really impressed with Cody. I know Cody is the first time I judged him, he was like a volume fighter, and he was just overwhelming. And I wanted to see if Cody could come out and not only really hit with a lot of points, but also really have like the really succinct points that he needed to. And I think he really, really showed that he can be both a volume fighter and like a specific targeted precision fighter as well. So I was just really impressed with you all. Congrats to everyone. You guys were all great.
All right, last but not least, Caleb, what are your thoughts? You were able to host this. How did that feel hosting this? And other than your super generic and lame and your winner exactly rip off of the Schmoedown, other than that part, you did a really good job. What are your thoughts on overall us as debaters and judging this?
I don't want to host anymore after that. You guys were all really good.
You did
You
great.
were all really good.
I didn't hate anything.
You're not Dominic Rizzi. Good job.
You guys were all really, really solid. I think Cody was nervous coming into this. I could kind of tell. Henry was definitely nervous coming into this. I could tell by his first two arguments.
I will say all the picks, none of them were in my favor, and I felt like I did the best I could with what I was given.
And Nazario, I think Nazario was the shocker for me. Coming out of nowhere, taking it all the way to the end with Cody, and Cody already knows. I think he's the Robert Parker of debate. He's just really good. And Nazario shocked me. Henry put up a good fight. It was always really close. There was never a round where I immediately discounted anyone. The only round that I think was legitimately a bit of a knockout was the pitch round, and that's just because Cody came out guns blazing. But outside of that, it was.
I did not like that question. I will say that was my least favorite question. Was the pitch?
And I do want to point out. The 5 genres were Western action, crime, horror, and blaxploitation, and the 5 actors were Bruce Willis, Gary Oldman, Chris Hemsworth, Margot Robbie, and Michael Keaton. So blaxploitation is a genre, but there isn't one black actor. So
I did that. That's the only reason I took that. You guys judged me for my approach, but that's the only thing that made sense. Blaxploitation
it really did.
I was sitting here.
It was just bad.
I was kind of sitting here like it's not like any of these other actors would have made it any better.
So I went with what I had, and you guys didn't buy it, and I just had to accept that, and I was fine with that.
Let's be clear. He could have focused on Gary Oldman being part of a movie with a black actor.
Yeah, but
that just made the most sense to appeal to you guys, and it was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, no, it was really good. Everyone brought their A game, I think, and I thought it was extremely close and a really very fun debate to watch.
So, Nazario, I'll let you go first.
I'm pretty excited about being here tonight. I never actually expected to be in this level of a match. Honestly, I think it helped me a little bit because as soon as I saw it was Henry and Cody, I just said like, okay, I'm not winning this shit, so I might as well just start giving. I don't know how you call it in English. In Spanish, it's
jabs.
When you just throw punches to see what you hit. But I do like. I I do like the idea that when people start talking, then you can start picking up on the little things they say and try to find holes in their theories. So it's fun. Actually, I'm enjoying this more than I expected to. So you definitely
Debating's
will
dope.
see me back.
Debating is dope. People are haters who when they don't watch the stuff
Uh-huh.
or they don't want to join. All right, Cody. I'll let you go next. You won. What are your legit thoughts? Does this have any weight to it? Do you actually feel like a champion, or is it kind of just like meh?
Oh no, I feel 100% like a champion. This was one of the hardest debates I've ever had to go through ever. Again, I'm with Henry 100%. I think the Oscar question was bullshit. I don't like that Oscar question at all. Because it's so hard to judge at this point. And me and Nazario, I shouldn't have won that. I didn't see the movies. I haven't seen either. I've seen Stars Born. That's the only one I have. But no, Henry is by far one of the greatest fighters. He's very passionate and he's very heated. But at the end of the day, I respect that because it makes me want to fight harder.
You went in.
To me,
You
it's
came
not-
in sleepy and you left out heated. So that I brought it out of you.
Yeah. I literally worked a 10-hour day before today, and I came in and I was like, I didn't really get a chance to watch Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, so this is going to be rough. And it ended up all working out. Again, hardest fight. I'm excited what me and Henry have planned in the upcoming for debate. It's going to make it very interesting moving forward, so I'm super pumped for that fight. But yeah, Nazario kicked fucking ass. I don't remember, but Henry will know what I'm talking about. I hope I did, but maybe I didn't.
Nope.
Damn it, this sucks. But no, Nazario is by far one of the top fighters. He literally has such a relaxed approach to it, but also a fuck you approach to it, which I absolutely respect and honor.
Admire.
And I think, and this is to Lucas, Michael, and Caleb. You guys did a by far amazing job at this. It's insane. It's hard, especially with me and Henry. If you're going to rule against us, we may tell you to go fuck yourself. And I want a pitch question. I want a fucking pitch question, which I'm terrible at. So I appreciate that. So that's all I got there.
And then I'm going to go last. And once again, I just want to reiterate, thank you to the judges. You guys did a fantastic job. As Lucas is talking about in the chat, we have 3 champions now on this call. As of right now of the recording, we have Lucas as a Team Geek champion in Multiplex. We have Michael Campbell as the Team Regular Trivia champion over at Full Metal. And now we have Cody as the singles debate champion in the debate here at Confidential Cinema. So congratulations. This is a great panel. We did a great job. I do want to say that although I did disagree with you guys on the 2 debates, one that I wasn't involved in, one that I was involved in. You guys did a fantastic job, and even though I disagreed with one of your reasonings, you guys at least explained it in a way where I can respect it, and looking back on it, I'll still say you guys are wrong, but I do respect why you guys thought you did what you guys did. Cody and Nazario, you guys brought the best out of me. I had my back against the wall. I had the 3rd pick in the Best Picture winner, so I was already at a point where I just have to go balls out and go for something that might not work, and then I was kind of shocked with the Jefferson Smith one that I missed that one, but I'm happy I got the Killing, the one that I got to pick first. So it is what it is. So with that being said, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with this video. Right now we're at 2 hours and 1 minute of recording, so I'm hoping I can cut this down as much as possible. I don't know what's going to happen. This is going to get no views, but anybody who made it this far in the video or skipped ahead, congratulate Cody in the comments, congratulate him over on the Confidential page, and just let's have some fun. Let's debate movies, and you guys earned it, and I can't wait for what we have cooking in the future. Bye, guys.